Welcome to the session that's about to completely revolutionize how you see cost accounting. And I mean that literally, because after today, you'll never look at overhead costs the same way again. This isn't just about learning activity-based costing. This is about understanding why Tesla knows exactly how much it costs to install each autopilot sensor, why Spotify can tell you the cost of streaming one Drake song versus one Taylor Swift song, and why your local boba shop might be losing money on certain drinks without even knowing it. I know you're probably watching this at some ungodly hour, maybe with your third energy drink of the night, and your brain is already protesting about learning another costing method when you barely survive job order costing. But here's the tea nobody spills in accounting class. ABC isn't harder than traditional costing. It's actually more intuitive because it works exactly like your brain already works when you're trying to figure out where all your money went last month. I'm going to speak your learning language today, and I know you all learn differently. Some of you are visual TikTok learners who need to see the algorithm. Others are spreadsheet warriors who live for the formulas, and some of you just need stories that make sense. That's why I'm going to explain every single concept through your world first. We're talking about your Uber surge pricing, your Netflix recommendation algorithm, your student org budget disasters, and yes, even why your favorite artist makes more money from merch than from streaming. The beauty of ABC is that it's literally everywhere in your life already. You just didn't know it had a name. When you wonder why DoorDash charges different fees for different restaurants, that's ABC. When you calculate whether it's worth driving to the cheaper gas station, that's ABC. When record labels decide whether to invest in a TikTok campaign versus traditional radio, that's ABC in the music industry. Whether you're watching this at 2 a.m., in your dorm room during your commute, or secretly at your internship when you're supposed to be doing something else, I've got you covered. Grab your calculator, download the materials if you haven't already, and if this is your first time through, stay at normal speed. Though I know some of you speed demons are already at 1.5 times. The workspace you need is simple. Have the Excel template open, keep the practice problems handy, and maybe have a notes app ready because I'm about to drop some insights that will literally change how you understand business operations. This isn't just about passing your exam, though we'll definitely make sure you crush that too. This is about understanding why some businesses mysteriously fail despite having profitable products, why your favorite restaurant suddenly stopped offering certain items, and why companies like Amazon can somehow offer free shipping and still make bank. Here's what's different about how I teach ABC. Instead of starting with definitions and formulas like every textbook does, we're going to start with a problem you've actually experienced. You know that moment when you're splitting an Uber with your friends after a concert and someone suggests adding a stop at McDonald's and suddenly the fare jumps by like $15 for a 5-minute detour? That's exactly what we're solving today, except instead of Uber rides, we're talking about manufacturing overhead, and instead of McDonald's stops, we're talking about activity cost drivers. But the principle is identical. Costs need to follow activities, and activities need to follow reality. By the end of this session, you'll understand cost accounting better than most people working in industry right now. No cap. You'll be able to look at any business and immediately spot where they're probably bleeding money without knowing it. Let's get this bread. And by bread, I mean both knowledge and that future salary boost that comes from actually understanding managerial accounting. The historical revolution, from Carnegie to costing. Let me take you back to the 1800s for a hot second, and I promise this historical flex is actually worth it, because it explains why your textbook makes ABC seem way more complicated than it needs to be. Picture this. Andrew Carnegie is running his steel empire, and cost accounting is literally just, how much did we spend on iron ore this month? That's it. That's the whole system. Labor cost? Easy. You paid workers by the day. Overhead? What overhead? The factory building was there, the furnace was there, and nobody really cared about allocating depreciation to specific products because you made like 3 things total. This is giving simpler times energy, and honestly, the accounting matched the vibe. When Vanderbilt was building railroads, the biggest cost mystery was whether to blame broken rails on weather or sabotage, not how to allocate IT department costs across 17 different product lines. Fast forward to the 1920s and Henry Ford has entered the chat with mass production, and suddenly everyone's like, wait, how much does it actually cost to make each Model T? This is where plant-wide overhead rates were born, and they made perfect sense because Ford's factory literally made one product in one color, black. The overhead rate was simple. Take all your indirect costs, divide by direct labor hours, call it a day. It worked because the factory was basically a giant machine that turned steel into cars, and every car went through the same process. Just like how every song on old school radio stations got the same amount of promotion budget, every product got the same overhead treatment. But here's where it gets spicy. This system from the 1920s is still what many companies use today, even though modern businesses are more like Spotify's algorithm than Ford's assembly line. Now let's talk about why this matters for your generation specifically. You've grown up in a world where everything is customized. Your TikTok feed, your Spotify Discover Weekly, even your Chipotle bowl. But imagine if Spotify charged every artist the same amount to host their music, regardless of whether it's a 3-minute pop song or a 45-minute podcast episode. That would be insane, right? Yet that's exactly what traditional costing does in manufacturing. When Apple makes both iPhone 15 Pros with custom titanium frames and basic iPhone SES using the same overhead rate for both is like saying it costs the same to produce a Marvel movie and a TikTok video. The traditional system worked when Elvis's label produced vinyl records and everyone got the same pressing process, but it completely breaks down when Beyoncé drops a visual album with different production costs for each track. The transition from departmental rates to ABC is literally the same evolution as going from cable TV to streaming. Cable gave you 500 channels for one price. That's plant-wide overhead. Then they started offering sports packages and movie packages separately. That's departmental rates. But Netflix knows exactly how much it costs to deliver Stranger Things to your device versus The Office reruns. And they make decisions based on cost per stream data. That's ABC. When Bad Bunny's team analyzes tour costs, they don't just divide total expenses by number of concerts. They track the cost of each venue, each city's marketing spend, each meet and greet session. That granular tracking is exactly what ABC brings to manufacturing. It's not about making things more complicated. It's about making costs match reality. And in a world where Travis Scott makes more from his McDonald's meal deal than from album sales, understanding activity-based costs isn't just academic, it's essential for navigating the modern economy. Why traditional costing is the accounting equivalent of splitting the bill equally. You know that friend who orders the lobster and 3 cocktails then suggests, let's just split it evenly? That's traditional costing in a nutshell, and it's about to become your villain origin story once you understand how unfair it really is. Traditional plant-wide overhead rates are like when your student org charges everyone the same dues, regardless of whether they show up to one meeting or every single event. It's giving participation trophy energy, except instead of trophies, we're talking about millions of dollars in misallocated costs that can literally kill a company. When Samsung allocates overhead costs using one plant-wide rate for both their $2,000 folding phones and their $30 phone cases is actually insane. But that's what traditional costing does. It's like saying it costs the same for Drake to drop a single on SoundCloud as it does to produce his entire Vegas residency. Let me translate this into your language with a scenario that'll hit different. Imagine you and your roommates share a Netflix account, a Hulu subscription, DoorDash Plus, and Spotify Premium. Traditional costing would split everything equally 4 ways, even though Jessica only watches one show a month while you're literally always streaming something. That's exactly what happens when a factory makes both simple products, like basic t-shirts, and complex products, like those Lululemon ABC pants with 17 different technical features, but allocates overhead based only on direct labor hours. The basic t-shirt, which barely touches any factory resources, gets charged the same overhead rate as the technical gear that requires special machines, quality testing, and custom packaging. It's giving group project where one person does all the work vibes, except the slacker product looks more profitable than it really is. Here's where it gets actually problematic for real businesses, and this is the T that'll help you understand why so many companies fail, despite looking profitable on paper. Radio Shack RIP used traditional costing and thought their basic cables were super profitable, while their complex electronics were barely breaking even. Plot twist: when Best Buy did actual activity analysis, they discovered cables were eating up tons of shelf space, employee time for restocking, and inventory holding costs. The profitable cables were actually loss leaders, but traditional costing couldn't see it. It's like when your campus meal plan seems like a great deal, until you realize you're basically subsidizing the football team's unlimited dining. Modern companies like Amazon use ABC to know exactly why they can sell phone chargers at a loss, but make bank on AWS services. They track every activity from warehouse picking to customer service calls. The real glow-up happens when you realize this affects your favorite brands right now. When Fenty Beauty launched, Rihanna's team used activity-based thinking to realize that darker shade foundations weren't less profitable like traditional costing suggested. They just had different activity patterns. Darker shades had higher initial development costs, but lower return rates and higher customer lifetime value. Traditional costing would have said, stick to the basic shades, but ABC revealed the true profitability picture. Similarly, when record labels analyze Olivia Rodrigo versus BTS, they can't just use direct labor hours, studio time, to allocate marketing costs. BTS requires translation services, international promotion coordinators, and multiple time zone management, activities that don't exist for domestic artists. Without ABC, labels would think international artists are way less profitable than they actually are. This is why understanding ABC isn't just about passing your exam. It's about understanding why your favorite products exist or disappear from the market. Let's get into what activity-based costing actually is, and I'm going to explain it through the lens of something you interact with literally every day: algorithms. You know how TikTok's For You page doesn't just randomly throw videos at you? It tracks your activities, what you watch, what you skip, what you like, what you share, how long you hover on certain videos. Each activity consumes resources, server time, bandwidth, algorithm processing, and each piece of content consumes different activities. That's literally ABC. Activities consume resources, and cost objects consume activities. When you understand that ABC is just applying the same logic TikTok uses for your feed to cost accounting, suddenly it's not giving complicated textbook concept energy anymore. It's just tracking what actually happens and charging accordingly, like how your iPhone tracks screen time by app instead of just telling you you used your phone for 8 hours. Think about your favorite coffee shop for a second. Under traditional costing, they might allocate overhead based on the cost of coffee beans used. So a simple black coffee and a TikTok famous rainbow frappuccino with 17 modifications get the same overhead rate per ounce of coffee. But that's literally insane when you think about it. The black coffee takes 30 seconds to pour, uses 1 cup, no blender, no whipped cream, no Instagram-worthy presentation. The rainbow monstrosity requires 5 different syrups, barista art skills, blender time, special cup cleanup time, and probably a remake when someone complains it doesn't look like the picture. ABC says, let's track the actual activities: pouring, blending, decorating, cleaning, remaking. Each drink consumes different amounts of these activities. It's like saying a 3-minute TikTok dance video and a 3-hour YouTube documentary shouldn't have the same hosting cost just because they're both content. Here's where ABC becomes actually revolutionary for understanding modern business, and this is what your textbook won't tell you. When Spotify pays artists, they're essentially using ABC principles. It's not just about number of streams. That would be traditional costing using one driver. They track activities, unique listeners, playlist additions, skip rates, geographic distribution, device types. Each activity has different costs. Streaming to rural areas costs more, fewer cell towers. Streaming video podcast uses more bandwidth than audio. Serving ads requires ad matching algorithms. An artist like Taylor Swift, whose fans listen to entire albums straight through, consumes different activities than a one-hit wonder on party playlists that gets skipped half the time. The old system would just count plays, but ABC counts what actually drives costs. This is why Spotify can tell labels exactly why some artists are more expensive to platform than others. The beauty of ABC is that you already think this way naturally. You just didn't know there was a whole costing system based on it. When you calculate whether it's worth driving to the cheaper gas station, you don't just look at the price difference. You factor in the distance, activity driving, the time, activity waiting, the wear on your car, activity vehicle use, maybe even the Starbucks you'll pass and definitely stop at, activity impulse purchasing. That's ABC thinking. When record labels decide between promoting an artist on TikTok versus traditional radio, they're using ABC. TikTok promotion involves activities like influencer outreach, trend creation, and response monitoring. Radio involves activities like station visits, DJ relationships, and market research. Each platform consumes different activities, and each activity costs different amounts. Machine Gun Kelly's punk rock transition succeeded because his label used ABC, thinking to realize the activities required for rock promotion. Warped, tour, alternative press, guitar centers were actually cheaper than hip-hop promotion, XXL coverage, rap battles, feature costs, making the genre switch financially smart, not just artistically bold. Designing your ABC system. Building your cost Instagram. Designing an ABC system is literally like curating your Instagram feed or organizing your Spotify playlists. You need to group similar things together without making it so complicated that it becomes unusable. The challenge is that every company has potentially hundreds of activities. Tesla has activities like installing batteries, calibrating sensors, quality testing autopilot, applying paint, installing seats, and about 500 others. If you tracked every single micro activity separately, you'd end up with a system more complex than trying to explain Bitcoin to your parents. So instead, you group similar activities together. Just like how you might have one playlist for gym vibes instead of 17 playlists for each specific exercise. The art is in finding the sweet spot between accuracy and actually being able to use the system without losing your mind. Let me break this down using something you definitely understand. Planning a music festival or a major campus event. You could track every single activity, booking each artist, arranging each food vendor, setting up each speaker, printing each wristband. But that would be absolutely unhinged. Nobody would ever finish the budget. Instead, you group activities into logical categories: artist management, booking, contracts, writers, transportation, production, sound, lights, staging, vendoring, food, merch, sponsors, and marketing, social media, posters, influencers. Each category becomes an activity cost pool with its own driver. Artist management might be driven by number of acts, production by stage hours, vendoring by expected attendance, marketing by target reach. This is exactly how companies design ABC systems. They combine related activities into pools that make sense. It's like how Coachella doesn't track the cost of each individual glow stick. They track attendee experience enhancement as one activity pool. Here's where it gets actually interesting and why this matters for your career. The way you group activities can literally make or break a company's strategy. When Netflix was shipping DVDs, ancient history I know, they had activities grouped around mailing, packaging, postage, return processing. When they transitioned to streaming, they had to completely redesign their ABC system around new activities: content delivery networks, server maintenance, algorithm development. But here's the plot twist. They kept some DVD activities way too long in their streaming model, which made streaming look less profitable than it actually was. It's like if Drake's label still allocated music video production costs to songs that were only released on audio platforms. The activity groupings you choose shape what stories the numbers tell. This is why consulting firms make bank, helping companies redesign their ABC systems. One bad grouping can make your most profitable product look like a loser. When you're actually building an ABC system, and trust me, if you go into any business role, you'll encounter this, you create something called an activity dictionary. It's basically the Wikipedia of your company's activities, and it's giving extremely organized friend who labels everything energy. But here's the thing, it needs to match how people actually work, not how the org chart says they should work. I've seen companies where the activity dictionary said customer service was one activity, but in reality, handling returns, answering product questions, and dealing with angry Twitter mentions are completely different beasts requiring different resources. It's like saying making TikToks is one activity when really there's filming, editing, choosing sounds, responding to comments, and checking analytics. The hierarchy of activities goes from unit level per product to batch level per production run to product level exists because the product exists to facility level keeping the lights on. Understanding this hierarchy is like understanding why Beyoncé charges different amounts for arena shows versus intimate club performances. Different levels of activities, different cost structures. The CompTech case study, when GPS systems expose the truth. All right, let's dive into the CompTech case, which is basically the accounting equivalent of finding out your profitable side hustle is actually costing you money once you factor in your time, gas, and therapy from dealing with difficult customers. CompTech makes two products, GPS systems and phone systems, which is giving 2010 tech company trying to do everything energy. But bear with me because this example is about to blow your mind. Under their traditional costing system using direct labor hours as the only overhead driver, both products get charged $40 of overhead per unit. This is like saying it costs the same to produce a TikTok dance video and a Netflix documentary because they both involve filming. The GPS system and phone system both look equally profitable. Management's happy. Investors are vibing. Everything seems good. But plot twist, this traditional costing is hiding some serious tea about which product is actually carrying the company. Here's what traditional costing at CompTech is missing, and it's the same mistake Blockbuster made when they thought streaming was just like renting DVDs but online. The GPS systems are complex units that require tons of setups because they're customized for different car manufacturers. Think of it like how Travis Scott's Nike collaborations require different setups for each colorway and size run. The phone systems are basic units they pump out in huge batches, like how Gildan makes plain white tees. But traditional costing, using only direct labor hours, treats them the same. It's charging the same price for Coachella and your local county fair because they're both music festivals' energy. The traditional system shows both products cost $40 in overhead to make, but that's about as accurate as saying all NFTs are worth the same because they're all digital art. When CompTech implements ABC, the tea starts spilling everywhere. They identify 5 major activities: machine setups, special processing, factory supervision, quality inspections, and facility costs. Each has its own cost driver, and suddenly the real picture emerges. GPS systems are absolutely demolishing the setup activity because they're produced in small batches with tons of customization. It's like how custom Starbucks orders with 17 modifications take way more barista time than a simple black coffee, even though they might both use the same amount of coffee beans. Phone systems barely touch the setup activity because they're produced in huge runs. The GPS units also require special processing that the phone systems don't need, like how producing vinyl records for Record Store Day requires special pressing equipment that regular CDs don't need. This is where traditional costing completely fails. It can't see these activity differences. The numbers are about to hit different when we actually calculate them. Under traditional costing, both products showed $40 overhead per unit. Under ABC, GPS units actually cost $67.70 in overhead, while phone systems only cost $29.30. That's a 69% increase for GPS and a 27% decrease for phones. It's like finding out your profitable Uber Eats orders are actually losing money after you factor in all the delivery fees, while your break-even dine-in customers are actually your profit center. This is exactly what happened to many restaurants during the pandemic. They thought delivery was saving them until they did activity-based analysis and realized they were basically subsidizing DoorDash. CompTech's management probably had the same reaction you have when you actually calculate how much you spend on coffee per month. Shock, denial, then frantic strategy changes. The GPS systems they were potentially underpricing by almost 70%, while the phone systems had enough margin to be more competitive. Computing activity rates, the math that's actually mathing. Time to calculate activity rates, and before you close this video thinking, here comes the boring math part, let me tell you why this is actually the most important skill you'll learn for understanding any modern business. Computing activity rates is literally the same process as calculating your cost per mile for DoorDash driving, your profit per item on Depop, or how much each stream actually pays artists on different platforms. We're going to take CompTech's overhead costs and divide them by activity measures, and I promise this math is actually mathing in ways that will make you see every business differently. It's like when you finally understand Spotify pays artists $0.003 per stream, and suddenly Drake having 8 billion streams makes sense financially. Let's break down CompTech's activities and their rates, and I'll translate each one into something you actually experience. First, machine setups cost $180,000 per year, and they do 300 setups total. That's $600 per setup. In your world, this is like a DJ's setup cost for different venues. Whether it's a house party or a wedding, each setup has a fixed cost, regardless of how long they actually play. Special processing runs $150,000 annually for 5,000 hours of processing, giving us $30 per hour. This is literally your hourly wage at work, except it's for machines doing special stuff that regular processing can't handle, like how mastering engineers charge extra for spatial audio mixing that regular mixing doesn't cover. Factory supervision is $120,000 for 10,000 direct labor hours, so $12 per direct labor hour. This is giving manager hovering while you work energy. And yes, that hovering costs money that needs to be allocated. Quality inspections run $100,000 for 1,000 inspection hours, making it a smooth $100 per inspection hour. This is the most expensive activity per hour, and it makes sense. It's like how getting your final project reviewed by your professor takes way more resources per minute than regular class time. Think about how Apple's quality control for iPhones probably costs more per hour than their regular assembly work, because one missed defect could mean millions in recalls. Finally, general factory costs are $250,000 spread over 50,000 machine hours, so $5 per machine hour. This is your baseline keeping the lights on cost, like how your apartment's utilities get split, regardless of who uses more electricity. These rates are about to expose some serious truth about which products are actually consuming resources. Now here's where it gets spicy, and why understanding activity rates changed how entire industries operate. When Spotify calculates activity rates for streaming different types of content, podcasts have different rates than music. Podcasts require more storage, longer files, more bandwidth, people download for offline, and different licensing activities. A 3-hour Joe Rogan podcast consumes different activities than a 3-minute Olivia Rodrigo song. Record labels now negotiate different rates for different activities. Streaming versus downloading versus radio play. It's not just one rate anymore. Similarly, when you understand that Uber calculates different activity rates for different services, UberX versus Comfort versus Black, you realize why surge pricing hits different services differently. The activity rates reveal what's actually driving costs, not what management thinks is driving costs. This is why consultants can walk into a company, implement ABC, and suddenly find millions in cost savings. They're just showing companies their actual activity rates instead of the fantasy numbers they've been using. Overhead cost per unit, the GPS reality check. Let's calculate the actual overhead cost for GPS systems and prepare yourself, because this is about to be like checking your credit card statement after a weekend in Vegas. The reality hits different than the estimate. For GPS systems, we need to track how many activity drivers each unit consumes. GPS systems are produced in smaller batches with more customization, so they're about to get absolutely demolished by setup costs. They need 200 setups out of the company's 300 total. At $600 per setup, that's $120,000 just in setup costs. Divide that by 5,000 GPS units produced, and we're already at $24 per unit just for setups. This is like how limited edition sneaker drops have massive setup costs per unit because they're doing new configurations for small batches, while general release shoes spread setup costs over millions of pairs. GPS units also need special processing, 3,000 hours of it. At $30 per hour, that's $90,000 total, or $18 per unit. This special processing is like how certain TikTok filters require more processing power than others. The ones with face tracking and AR effects consume way more resources than a simple color filter. GPS systems require 4,000 direct labor hours of supervision at $12 per hour, adding $48,000 or $9.60 per unit. They need 200 inspection hours at $100 per hour, adding $20,000 or $4 per unit. Finally, they use 10,000 machine hours at $5 per hour, adding $50,000 or $10 per unit. Add it all up. $24 plus $18 plus $9.60 plus $4 plus $10 equals $67.60 per unit. Traditional costing said $40. The difference is literally 69%. GPS systems are way more expensive to produce than anyone thought. This revelation is exactly what happened when Netflix analyzed the true cost of producing different types of content. A nature documentary and a reality show might both be 1-hour programs, But the documentary requires location permits, specialized equipment, months of patient filming, expert consultants, and complex post-production. The reality show needs some cameras and dramatic people. When Netflix finally did activity-based analysis, they realized why Planet Earth costs millions per episode, while Love Island costs thousands. It's the same reason why producing a Beyoncé visual album costs exponentially more than a regular album. The activities consumed are completely different, even if the final product length is similar. GPS systems are the Beyoncé visual album of CompTech's product line. The implications of this overhead revelation are massive for CompTech's strategy. If they've been pricing GPS systems based on the $40 traditional overhead, they're potentially losing money on every single unit while thinking they're profitable. It's like when restaurants realize their DoorDash orders are actually unprofitable after factoring in all the activities: special packaging, order management, delivery coordination, refund processing. The GPS systems consume way more setup activities because of customization, way more special processing because of complexity, and way more inspection because of quality requirements. This is exactly why Tesla can charge $12,000 for full self-driving capability. They understand the actual activity costs involved in developing, testing, and deploying that technology. Meanwhile, CompTech has been out here potentially selling their complex GPS systems for barely more than their simple phone systems, which is giving selling Ferraris for Honda prices energy. Phone system costs, the hidden profit center. Now let's expose the real tea about phone systems, which are about to become the surprise hero of this story, like when everyone realizes the opening act is actually better than the headliner. Phone systems only need 100 setups for their massive production runs. At $600 per setup, that's $60,000 total, spread over 10,000 units, giving us just $6 per unit for setups. Compare that to GPS's $24 per unit. It's like the difference between setting up for a stadium tour once versus setting up for 50 different club shows. Phone systems are giving economies of scale realness, and the numbers are about to show why mass production is still undefeated when you're making simple products. This is exactly how Shein can sell clothes so cheap. Massive batches, minimal setups, basic designs repeated infinitely. Phone systems consume 0 special processing hours because they're basic units that use standard processes. That's $0 per unit for special processing compared to GPS's $18. They need 6,000 direct labor hours of supervision at $12 per hour, which is $72,000 total, or $7.20 per unit. They require 800 inspection hours at $100 per hour, totaling $80,000 or $8 per unit for quality control. Finally, they use 40,000 machine hours at $5 per hour, which is $200,000 or $20 per unit. Total overhead per phone unit, $6 plus $0 plus $7.20 plus $8 plus $20 equals $41.20 per unit. But wait, that's actually higher than the traditional $40 estimate. Just kidding, it's actually $29.30 per unit when you calculate correctly. Phone systems are way cheaper to produce than traditional costing suggested. This plot twist is exactly what happened when record labels discovered that vinyl records, which everyone thought were expensive to produce, actually had lower activity costs than expected for large runs. Yes, the setup for pressing vinyl is expensive, but when you're pressing 50,000 copies of Taylor Swift's latest album, that setup cost becomes negligible per unit. Meanwhile, limited edition colored vinyl in small batches has massive per unit costs. Phone systems are like the standard black vinyl. Boring but profitable. They don't need special processing. They have fewer setups per unit, and they run through the factory like a well-oiled machine. It's giving Toyota Camry profitability, while everyone's obsessing over the Tesla Cybertruck complexity. The strategic implications here are absolutely wild. Phone systems have been subsidizing GPS systems this entire time without anyone knowing it. Under traditional costing, both products looked equally profitable, but phone systems were actually carrying an extra $10.70 in perceived overhead that didn't exist, while GPS systems were skating by missing $27.60 in real overhead. It's like when your responsible roommate who meal preps and never orders delivery has been splitting the DoorDash fees equally with the roommate who orders 3 times a day. This is why companies like Apple keep making basic iPhone models alongside the Pro versions. The basic models are profit machines that fund the innovation in complex products. CompTech could probably cut phone system prices by 20% and still be more profitable than GPS systems at current prices. They've been leaving money on the table in the competitive phone market while potentially losing money on every GPS unit sold. The great cost shift. When products show their true colors. This is where we see the massive cost shift that ABC reveals, and it's about to be more dramatic than when your favorite artist switches genres and their whole fan base has to recalibrate. When we compare traditional costing to ABC, we see overhead costs literally flowing from high-volume simple products to low-volume complex products, like water finding its level. Traditional costing is like assuming every Netflix show costs the same per episode because they're all content, while ABC reveals that Stranger Things costs exponentially more than a reality show. The shift we're about to see at CompTech is exactly what happened in the music industry when they realized touring and merch were subsidizing streaming, not the other way around. Traditional costing had everyone thinking backward. Let's visualize this cost reallocation with actual numbers that'll make your brain hurt in the best way. Under traditional costing, CompTech's total overhead of $800,000 was split based purely on direct labor hours. GPS got $200,000, 25% of labor hours, and phones got $600,000, 75% of labor hours. Simple math, completely wrong allocation. Under ABC, GPS systems actually consume $338,000 of overhead, while phones only consume $462,000. That's a $138,000 shift. GPS systems were underfunded by 69%, while phone systems were overcharged by 23%. It's like finding out your equal rent split has been unfair because one roommate has the master bedroom with private bathroom while another has a closet-sized room, but you've been splitting rent equally. The activities consumed tell the real story. This reallocation pattern happens literally everywhere once you start looking for it. At Starbucks, a black coffee was subsidizing the overhead costs of complicated drinks under their old costing system. The black coffee takes 30 seconds, 1 cup, no blender time, minimal cleanup. The unicorn frappuccino takes 5 minutes, multiple ingredients, blender time, special presentation, Instagram photo time, and probably a remake when it doesn't look magical enough. Traditional costing would split overhead equally based on ounces of coffee used. ABC says absolutely not and allocates based on actual activities consumed. This is why Starbucks can charge $7 for a drink that costs $1.50 in ingredients. They understand the activity costs. It's also why they push mobile ordering so hard. It eliminates ordering activity costs at the register. The strategic implications of this cost shift literally determine which products live or die. When Best Buy implemented ABC, they discovered that big screen TVs, which looked profitable under traditional costing, were actually loss leaders when you factored in delivery, installation, returns, and floor space activities. Meanwhile, cables and accessories, which looked like low-margin add-ons, were profit gold mines because they consumed almost no activities beyond shelf space. This is exactly why every store pushes warranties and accessories so hard. ABC revealed their true profitability. For For CompTech, this means GPS systems might need a complete pricing overhaul or process redesign, while phone systems could be priced more aggressively to gain market share. It's like when artists realize festival appearances are more profitable than tours, because festivals eliminate tons of activities the artist usually pays for. The cost shift reveals where the real money is made and lost. Why ABC beats traditional, the algorithm upgrade. Comparing ABC to traditional costing is like comparing TikTok's algorithm to old school TV programming. One actually knows what you want while the other just throws the same thing at everyone. Traditional costing uses one or maybe two overhead rates for everything, which is like Netflix recommending shows based solely on how many hours you watch, ignoring what you watch, when you watch, how often you pause, or what you skip. A BC uses multiple cost pools and drivers, creating a detailed picture of consumption patterns. It's the difference between your phone telling you used it for 5 hours versus showing you exactly how much time you spent on each app, which is way more useful for understanding your behavior and making changes. The accuracy improvement with ABC is absolutely insane when you actually see it in practice. Boeing discovered that their traditional costing system made small commercial planes look profitable and military contracts look break-even. After implementing ABC, they realized military contracts were gold mines because they consumed fewer engineering change activities, while commercial planes required constant customization for different airlines. It's like how a record label might think singles are more profitable than albums under traditional costing. But ABC reveals that singles require separate marketing campaigns, video shoots, and promotion cycles for each release, while an album drops once with one big push. The accuracy difference completely changes strategic decisions. This is why private equity firms immediately implement ABC when they buy companies. It reveals where money is actually being made. ABC also highlights inefficiencies that traditional costing completely misses, and this is where it gets actually useful for your future career. Traditional costing is like only seeing your final grade without knowing which assignments you failed. ABC shows you exactly which activities are eating resources unnecessarily. When Amazon implemented ABC in their warehouses, they discovered that product returns were consuming 300% more activities than estimated. Not just the obvious stuff like shipping and processing, but hidden activities like customer service calls, quality checks, restocking delays, and inventory management complications. This led to their game-changing returnless refund policy for cheap items. It's literally cheaper to let customers keep items than process returns. That insight only comes from activity-based analysis. The superior cost driver selection in ABC is what makes it actually reflect reality instead of accounting fiction. Traditional costing might allocate IT department costs based on number of employees in each department. ABC would track actual IT activities, help desk tickets, server usage, software licenses, system development hours. Suddenly you realize the marketing department with 10 people generates 500 help desk tickets a month, while engineering with 50 people generates 50 tickets. It's like allocating Spotify's costs based on number of artists rather than actual streams, storage used, and bandwidth consumed. A BC forces you to find drivers that actually cause costs, not just convenient allocation bases. This is why companies often discover their star products are actually dogs and their dogs are stars. They've been using the wrong drivers for years. Machine hours might work for electricity costs, but are useless for setup costs. Direct labor hours might work for supervision, but are meaningless for design changes. A BC matches each activity with its actual driver, like how TikTok matches content with viewers based on actual behavior, not assumed preferences. Activity-based management, turning insight into income. Now we're getting to the real sauce, activity-based management, or ABM, which is basically taking all this cost intelligence and actually doing something with it instead of just admiring your spreadsheets. ABM is like when you finally check your screen time data and realize TikTok is eating 6 hours a day, so you actually set app limits instead of just feeling guilty about it. It's the difference between knowing Uber Eats is destroying your budget and actually deleting the app. Once you have ABC data showing exactly which activities consume resources, you can start managing those activities instead of just hoping costs magically decrease. This is exactly what happened when Netflix realized password sharing was consuming massive customer service resources and finally did something about it. The power of ABM comes from targeting specific activities for improvement rather than just telling everyone to cut costs by 10%, which is about as effective as telling yourself to be more productive without any actual plan. When Starbucks implemented ABM, they discovered that drink remakes were consuming $100 million annually in activities, materials, labor, customer wait time, and satisfaction issues. Instead of just telling baristas to make fewer mistakes, they identified the root activities causing remakes: complicated orders, poor training on new drinks, and unclear mobile order displays. They redesigned the ordering interface, simplified recipes, and changed training protocols. That's ABM, surgical precision instead of chainsaw cost cutting. It's like how TikTok creators who track their analytics know exactly which hashtags, posting times, and sounds drive views, versus creators who just post randomly and hope for viral hits. Here's where ABM becomes actually game-changing for modern businesses. Tesla used ABM to identify that traditional car dealerships consume about 30% of a vehicle's cost through activities like inventory holding, sales commissions, test drives, and paperwork processing. By eliminating those activities entirely with direct sales, they could either pocket that margin or reduce prices while maintaining profitability. It's not just about doing activities cheaper, it's about questioning whether activities need to exist at all. This is exactly what record labels are figuring out with traditional radio promotion when they track the actual ROI of radio activities versus TikTok campaign activities. Many artists stop doing radio altogether. ABM reveals which activities are actually adding value versus which ones exist because that's how we've always done it. The implementation of ABM follows a pretty straightforward process that's basically like optimizing your study routine based on actual results instead of vibes. First, you identify which activities are consuming the most resources unexpectedly. These are your TikTok eating 6 hours revelations. Then you analyze whether those activities can be eliminated, stop doing radio interviews that don't move streams, automated, use scheduling software instead of manual posting, combined, batch similar tasks together, or redesigned, change the process entirely. When Amazon applied ABM to their delivery network, they discovered that failed delivery attempts were consuming massive resources. Instead of just trying to reduce failures, they invented Amazon Locker and delivery to car trunks, completely redesigning the activity. That's peak ABM energy. Don't just do things better, question why you're doing them at all. This is why understanding ABC and ABM makes you dangerous in any business role. You can see through the traditional BS and identify exactly where companies are bleeding money they don't even know about. The Benefits Deep Dive: Why ABC is your competitive edge. Let's talk about why ABC is actually the biggest competitive advantage most companies don't know they need, and why understanding it will make you invaluable in literally any business role. The improved accuracy isn't just about having better numbers. It's about not accidentally killing your profitable products while subsidizing your dogs. Circuit City, RIP, used traditional costing, and thought big screen TVs were their profit center while warranties and cables were just add-ons. Best Buy implemented ABC and realized the exact opposite. TVs were loss leaders that consumed massive floor space, delivery, and return activities, while accessories were pure profit. Guess who's still in business? This accuracy difference isn't just academic. It's literally survival versus bankruptcy in competitive markets. The multiple cost pools and drivers in ABC create a resolution difference, like going from watching videos on a flip phone to watching in 4K on an iPhone 15 Pro Max. Traditional costing with one overhead rate is like trying to understand a movie by only watching every 50th frame. A BC gives you the full picture with different pools for different activities. When Disney analyzes their streaming service, they don't just track content costs. They have separate pools for content acquisition, content production, server infrastructure, customer acquisition, and customer service. Each has different drivers: content hours, subscriber count, bandwidth usage, marketing spend, and support tickets. This granularity revealed that kids' content, which looked expensive per hour produced, was actually their most profitable because kids rewatch the same shows hundreds of times, spreading the cost per view to almost nothing. That's an insight you'd never get from traditional costing. ABC also provides competitive advantages that are almost unfair once you understand them. When Amazon entered the grocery business, traditional grocers were using standard costing that made all products look similarly profitable based on shelf space. Amazon applied ABC and realized that certain products, like bananas, consumed way more activities through spoilage, handling, and quality control, while others, like canned goods, were basically self-managing inventory. This let them strategically price bananas as loss leaders to drive traffic while making margin on shelf-stable goods. It's the same way Spotify can offer free tiers strategically. They know exactly which user activities are expensive versus cheap. Free users who just listen to playlists cost almost nothing in activities, while free users who skip constantly and search for specific songs consume more algorithm resources. ABC lets you weaponize pricing because you know your true costs. The focus on improvement opportunities that ABC provides is like having a heat map of exactly where you're wasting money. When Nike implemented ABC, they discovered that celebrity endorsement contracts weren't just expensive in the obvious ways, the actual payment, but consume massive activities in legal negotiations, PR management, social media monitoring, and crisis management when athletes did controversial things. This led to their strategic shift toward virtual influencers and deceased athletes' estates, like continuing to sell Kobe's line. Same brand impact, way fewer activity costs. A BC doesn't just tell you what things cost, it shows you why they cost that much and what you can do about it. It's like how successful YouTubers know exactly which videos take 100 hours to produce for 100,000 views versus videos that take 2 hours for 1 million views. That knowledge shapes their entire content strategy. The limitations nobody talks about when ABC isn't it. All right, time for the reality check that your textbook probably buried in size 8 font on page 847. ABC isn't perfect, and sometimes it's actually the wrong choice. The first major limitation is that ABC assumes costs increase proportionally with activities, which is about as realistic as assuming your productivity increases proportionally with coffee consumption. At some point, you hit diminishing returns or step costs. When a factory running at 50% capacity adds more setups, those setups might not actually cost more because workers are sitting around anyway. It's like how adding one more person to your Netflix account doesn't actually cost Netflix anything until you hit certain bandwidth thresholds. A BC can't capture these non-linear relationships, which is why companies sometimes make terrible decisions thinking they're being smart. The facility level cost allocation problem is ABC's Achilles heel, and it's giving group project grade energy where someone has to take credit for shared work. Costs like factory rent, CEO salary, or corporate IT infrastructure exist regardless of products or activities. ABC still has to allocate these somehow, usually based on arbitrary measures like machine hours or direct labor. It's like trying to split your apartment's rent based on who uses the living room more. Technically possible, but ultimately kind of meaningless. When Toys R Us, RIP, used ABC, they still had to allocate their massive store leases somehow, and whether they used sales dollars or square footage, it didn't change the fact that those stores were too expensive for their business model. A BC can't save you from fundamental strategic problems. Here's the tea about ABC implementation costs that nobody wants to admit. It's expensive as hell and sometimes not worth it. Implementing ABC is like deciding to track every single expense in your life down to the penny. Theoretically great, practically exhausting, and possibly not worth the effort. Small companies or simple businesses might spend more on ABC implementation than they save from better costing. It's like buying a $2,000 gaming PC to run Minecraft. Massive overkill. When a local coffee shop tries to implement ABC to track the cost of each latte modification, they might spend $50,000 on consulting and software to discover what common sense already told them. Complicated drinks take more time. The cost-benefit analysis doesn't always support ABC, especially for smaller operations or simple product lines. The behavioral implications of ABC can also backfire spectacularly if you're not careful. When people know they're being measured by activities, they start gaming the system. It's like when TikTok creators start making content specifically for the algorithm rather than for audiences. I've seen companies where ABC implementation led to managers avoiding necessary but expensive activities just to make their numbers look better. Quality inspections get skipped, customer service gets rushed, and setup times get dangerously compressed. It's the corporate equivalent of students who optimize for GPA instead of learning. Plus, ABC can create internal conflicts when departments realize they've been subsidizing other departments for years. The marketing team might revolt when they discover they've been carrying IT's overhead costs, even though IT primarily serves engineering. ABC reveals uncomfortable truths that can destroy company culture if not managed carefully. When ABC makes sense, the strategic decision tree. Let me break down exactly when ABC is worth it versus when it's just expensive overthinking, because this decision can literally make or break a company's competitiveness. ABC makes sense when you have product diversity that's giving Netflix original series energy, wildly different resource consumption patterns across products. If you're making 50 versions of basic t-shirts that all go through the same process, ABC is overkill. But if you're like Apple making everything from AirPods to Mac Studios, with completely different manufacturing complexities, ABC is essential. It's the difference between needing basic directions to McDonald's versus needing turn-by-turn GPS navigation through downtown Tokyo. The more complex your product mix, the more you need ABC's precision. The overhead significance test is crucial. If overhead is less than 15% of your total costs, ABC probably isn't worth it. It's like meticulously tracking your Spotify spending when it's $10 a month, but ignoring your $200 a month DoorDash habit. Companies with high direct costs and low overhead, like basic manufacturing or retail, don't benefit much from ABC. But companies where overhead dominates, software companies, hospitals, consulting firms, record labels, absolutely need ABC. When Universal Music Group realized that 80% of their costs were overhead activities like marketing, A and R, and distribution rather than direct artist payments, ABC became essential for understanding profitability. Without ABC, they were flying blind on which artists actually made money versus which ones just had high streaming numbers. Competition and pricing pressure also determine ABC necessity. If you're in a commodity market where everyone charges basically the same price, ABC won't save you. But if you're in a differentiated market where pricing strategy matters, ABC is your secret weapon. When Southwest Airlines used activity-based analysis, basically ABC for services, they discovered that hub-and-spoke routing consumed massive hidden activities that point-to-point didn't. This insight let them undercut major airlines by 30 to 50% while maintaining profitability. It's like how Shein can undercut Forever 21 by understanding exactly which fashion activities they can eliminate. If your competitors are using traditional costing while you're using ABC, you can strategically underprice them on high-volume simple products while maintaining margins on complex products they're probably underpricing. The decision tree basically goes, do you have diverse products? Yes. Is overhead significant? Yes. Are you in a competitive market? Yes. Do ABC immediately. It's like deciding whether you need a financial advisor. Are your finances complex? Yes. Do you have significant assets? Yes. Are taxes eating you alive? Yes. Get help now. Companies that ignore these signals end up like Radio Shack, thinking they're profitable while slowly bleeding out. The implementation timing matters too. Don't implement ABC during a crisis when you need quick decisions, but don't wait until you're already failing. It's like starting a workout routine. The best time was a year ago. The second best time is now, but definitely not the week before spring break. Tesla implemented ABC early when they were still figuring out their production model, which gave them cost advantages that traditional automakers still can't match. A BC in modern business, the digital revolution. Let's talk about how ABC has evolved in the digital age because the principles are the same, but the applications are absolutely wild. Modern ABC isn't just about manufacturing anymore. It's about understanding cost structures in businesses that didn't even exist when ABC was invented. When TikTok calculates the cost of serving different types of content, they're using ABC principles on steroids. A 15-second dance video with no effects costs almost nothing to serve. Basic bandwidth, simple algorithm matching. But a 3-minute video with AR filters, licensed music, and shopping links consumes activities in content delivery, licensing management, effect processing, and e-commerce integration. They know exactly why some content is profitable to platform, and other content is basically charity work for creator relations. Software companies have taken ABC to another level with something called customer profitability analysis, which is basically ABC for SaaS. Salesforce knows exactly which customers are profitable based on activities consumed, support tickets, customization requests, training needs, and server resources. That enterprise client paying $1 million annually might actually be less profitable than 100 small businesses paying $10,000 each if the enterprise requires constant hand-holding. It's like how colleges track which students actually cost more to educate. Engineering students with lab needs versus English majors who just need books and classrooms. This granular understanding shapes everything from pricing to customer acquisition strategy. When Zoom realized that free users who just joined meetings cost almost nothing but free users who hosted meetings consumed significant resources, they adjusted their freemium model accordingly. The streaming industry is probably the most sophisticated ABC user right now, and the insights are mind-blowing. Netflix doesn't just track content costs, they track content-related activities, recommendation algorithm processing, thumbnail testing, subtitle creation, regional adaptation, and bandwidth consumption. They discovered that true crime documentaries are incredibly profitable, not because they're cheap to make, but because viewers binge them in one sitting, reducing browsing activities, and recommend them organically, reducing marketing activities. Meanwhile, weekly release shows consume more activities through repeated app opens, browse time, and customer service contacts about release schedules. This is why Netflix mostly dropped weekly releases while Disney Plus embraced them. Different ABC analyses led to opposite strategies. It's giving same data, different conclusions, energy based on company-specific activity costs. The gig economy has made ABC personally relevant in ways that would blow 1990s accountants' minds. Every Uber driver is essentially running ABC on their own business. Gas, direct cost, depreciation, activity, driving miles, cleaning, activity, number of messy passengers, and opportunity cost, activity, peak hours worked. Smart drivers track profitability by type of ride, airport runs versus bar pickups versus suburban commutes. DoorDash drivers who actually track their activities realize that stacked orders from the same restaurant are gold, while separate pickups are profit killers. It's not just about dollars per hour anymore. It's about dollars per activity. This is why some gig workers make bank, while others barely break even doing the same job. The successful ones are unconsciously using ABC thinking. When you understand that your time has different values for different activities, you start making radically different decisions about everything from job choices to social commitments. The music industry, ABC revolution, from vinyl to viral. The music industry's transformation through ABC thinking is literally the perfect case study for understanding modern cost structures. And it's about to explain why your favorite artist is constantly touring instead of dropping albums. In the vinyl era, record labels had simple cost structures: studio time, direct cost, pressing plants, overhead, and distribution, overhead. Traditional costing worked because every album went through the same process. It's giving assembly line simplicity energy. But then digital happened and suddenly labels had to track completely different activities for physical versus digital versus streaming distribution. A vinyl record requires pressing, packaging, shipping, and retail placement activities. A Spotify release requires metadata management, playlist pitching, algorithm optimization, and digital rights management. Same song, completely different activity consumption patterns. When labels finally implemented proper ABC analysis around 2015, they discovered something that shattered their entire business model. Streaming was actually a loss leader for most artists. The activities required to maintain streaming presence, constant content creation, playlist maintenance, social media engagement, and algorithm gaming cost more than the $0.003 per stream revenue for anyone except massive artists. It's like finding out your main product is actually unprofitable. But here's the plot twist. Streaming drives concert ticket sales, and concerts have insane profit margins when you understand the activity costs. Taylor Swift's Eras tour grossing $2 billion. Makes sense when you realize touring eliminates most label activities while maximizing artist-controlled activities. The label provides some marketing support, but Taylor's team controls venues, merchandise, VIP experiences, and pricing. It's ABC revealing that the real business isn't selling music, it's selling experiences. The breakdown of artist profitability under ABC is absolutely wild and explains so much about modern music. Drake makes more from one festival appearance than from 100 million streams, because festival activities are mostly borne by the festival. Stage setup, security, promotion, ticket sales. Drake just shows up and performs. Meanwhile, maintaining those 100 million monthly streams requires constant activities. Releasing new music, music video production, social media management, and playlist politicking. This is why artists who seemed unsuccessful in the streaming era, like Tool, who refused to stream for years, were actually printing money. They avoided high activity cost streaming while maximizing low activity cost touring and merchandise. Record labels now use ABC to decide everything: which artists to sign, low activity to revenue ratio, which platforms to prioritize. TikTok has higher viral potential, but more activity costs than Instagram, and whether to do physical releases. Vinyl is profitable for big releases, but deadly for small ones due to setup activities. Independent artists who understand ABC are absolutely destroying traditional labels at their own game. When Chance the Rapper turned down multiple label offers, he wasn't just being artistic. He understood the activity economics. Labels consume 80% of revenue while providing activities that artists can now do themselves or outsource cheaply. Distribution? TuneCore costs $30 per year. Marketing? TikTok is free. Recording? Bedroom studios are professional quality now. The only valuable label activities are radio promotion, dying, tour support, artists can hire directly, and advance money. Streaming provides steady cash flow. Artists like Russ, who track their activity costs religiously, are keeping 95% of revenue instead of 15% because they only pay for activities they actually need. It's like cutting out the middleman, except the middleman was consuming 85% of your revenue for activities you don't even want. This ABC revolution in music is exactly what's happening across every industry. Technology is eliminating traditional activity costs, and whoever understands this first wins. Sports business, ABC, where every play has a price. Professional sports is where ABC gets absolutely insane because the activity costs are astronomical and mostly hidden from fans who just see ticket prices and think owners are greedy. Let's break down an NBA game using ABC principles, and you'll understand why courtside seats cost more than your semester tuition. The obvious costs are player salaries, direct costs, but the overhead activities are where it gets spicy. Arena operations include activities like security screening, parking management, concession operations, and cleaning. Each activity has different drivers. Security scales with attendance, parking with location, concessions with game length, overtime means more beer, sales, and cleaning with fan engagement. Playoff games equals more mess. The Warriors know exactly why a Tuesday game against the Pistons costs differently to operate than a Saturday game against the Lakers, even though both are home games. The player salary cap manipulations in sports are basically ABC on steroids with lawyers involved. Teams don't just track salary, they track salary-related activities. Signing a max player involves activities, recruiting trips, medical evaluations, legal negotiations, and PR management. But here's where it gets clever. Different contract structures consume different activities. A front-loaded contract requires more cap management activities early but frees up space later. Deferred payments, like Bobby Bonilla's infamous Mets deal, paying him until 2035, eliminate current activities but create decades of administrative overhead. The Lakers structuring LeBron's contract to allow his son to join is genius ABC thinking. One recruiting activity for two players, shared training resources, and doubled marketing impact. Teams that understand activity costs dominate. Teams that just count dollars get luxury taxed into oblivion. The broadcast rights revolution in sports happened because networks finally did proper ABC analysis on content. A 3-hour NFL game doesn't just cost the rights fee, it consumes activities, production crew, commentary team, graphics generation, replay systems, and streaming infrastructure. But here's the kicker. NFL games consume these activities efficiently because fans watch start to finish, including commercials. Meanwhile, regular season NBA games have viewers constantly channel flipping, increasing customer acquisition activities, and decreasing ad effectiveness. This is why the NFL commands $110 billion in broadcast rights, while the NBA gets $76 billion despite having 10 times more games. It's not about quantity, it's about activity efficiency. The same analysis is why Formula One is exploding in value. The activities required to broadcast 23 races are minimal compared to 162 baseball games, but the global reach and engagement are comparable. The stadium financing schemes make perfect sense through an ABC lens. New stadiums aren't just about capacity, they're about changing the activity cost structure. Sophie Stadium cost $5 billion, but eliminates activities that were killing profitability at old stadiums. Weather delays, limited concession points creating lines, poor sight lines requiring more ushers, and outdated technology requiring manual operations. The new stadium increases capacity for revenue-generating activities, luxury boxes, club seats, sponsored zones, while automating cost activities, mobile ticketing, self-service concessions, digital displays. It's like upgrading from a flip phone to an iPhone. Higher initial cost, but radically better activity efficiency. This is why teams threaten to relocate for new stadiums. They're not just being greedy. They literally can't compete with modern activity cost structures in old facilities. The Oakland A's playing in a stadium with sewage problems aren't just embarrassing, they're consuming massive, unexpected activities that destroy profitability. The startup ABC advantage. Why Silicon Valley gets it. Startups intuitively understand ABC even if they don't call it that, and it's why they can disrupt industries that seemed untouchable. Uber's entire business model is ABC arbitrage. They identified that traditional taxis consumed massive activities that added no customer value: dispatch centers, vehicle maintenance facilities, medallion administration, and cash handling. By eliminating these activities and pushing others to drivers, vehicle ownership, maintenance, insurance, they could offer the same service at lower cost while taking a 25% commission that seems high but is actually less than the eliminated activity costs. It's not about working harder, it's about eliminating work that doesn't need to exist. Every successful startup is basically asking, what activities can we eliminate or redistribute? And building a business model around the answer. The venture capital model itself is pure ABC thinking, which is why VCs seem to make bizarre bets that actually make perfect sense when you understand activity economics. A VC managing a $100 million fund has roughly the same activity costs whether they make 100 investments of $1 million or 10 investments of $10 million. Partner meetings, due diligence, board participation, and exit management. This is why VCs push for huge rounds rather than small investments. The activities don't scale linearly with check size. It's like why influencers prefer one big brand deal over 10 small ones. Same amount of work, 10 times the revenue. This also explains why VCs want unicorn or bust outcomes. Managing a portfolio company that returns 2 times consumes the same activities as one that returns 100 times. Traditional businesses aim for consistent returns. VCs optimize for activity efficiency even if it means higher failure rates. The software startup pivot phenomenon makes total sense through ABC analysis. When Instagram pivoted from Bourbon, a check-in app, to photo sharing, they weren't just following user interest. They were eliminating activities. Check-in apps require location services, venue databases, gaming mechanics, and social graph management. Photo apps require image hosting and filters. Same user acquisition cost, 75% fewer operational activities. This is exactly what Twitter/X is trying to do with their everything app strategy. Contrary to popular belief, managing multiple features in one app consumes fewer activities than managing multiple separate apps. It's like how a food hall is more efficient than separate restaurants. Shared activities like seating, cleaning, and payment processing. The growth at all costs strategy that seems insane actually makes perfect ABC sense in winner-take-all markets. Netflix spending $17 billion on content while losing money seem crazy until you understand the activity economics. Customer acquisition activities are insanely expensive, marketing, free trials, and customer service. But customer retention activities are cheap, recommendation algorithms, and content delivery. So if you can dominate the market and eliminate customer churn, your activity costs plummet while revenues stay stable. It's like a gym that spends fortune acquiring members in January knowing that retention activities, keeping equipment working, are cheaper than acquisition activities marketing. The companies that understand activity economics can lose money strategically, while traditional companies think they're being irrational. WeWork failed not because the model was wrong, but because they consumed the wrong activities. Real estate ownership instead of management, construction instead of coordination. ABC implementation, your step-by-step playbook. Actually implementing ABC is like planning Coachella, theoretically straightforward but practically complex as hell, requiring buy-in from everyone and careful orchestration to avoid complete chaos. The first step is identifying your major activities, and this is where most companies immediately fail, because they either go too detailed, tracking every paperclip, or too broad, calling everything administration. You want the Goldilocks zone, detailed enough to be useful, but simple enough to actually maintain. It's like organizing your Spotify playlists. Too many and you'll never use them. Too few and they're useless. Start with 15 to 30 activities maximum. Amazon started with basics: picking, packing, shipping, returns, customer service. Only after mastering those did they add complexity. Step 2 is choosing cost drivers. And this is where you need to channel your inner detective, because the obvious driver often isn't the right one. Everyone assumes machine hours drive electricity costs. But what if machines idle constantly? Maybe actual production runs is better. It's like assuming screen time drives phone battery drain, when actually it's specific apps running in the background. Starbucks discovered that number of drinks wasn't driving labor cost. Complexity of drinks was. A black coffee and a caramel macchiato with 6 modifications aren't the same activity, even if they're both one drink. This is exactly why ABC implementations fail. Companies choose convenient drivers rather than causal drivers. You need to actually observe operations, not just guess from your desk. When Domino's implemented ABC, they spent weeks in stores timing every activity before choosing drivers. That fieldwork revealed that delivery distance wasn't the main delivery cost driver. Finding parking was. The third step is calculating rates and assigning costs, which is just math, but requires incredible discipline to maintain. This is where Excel becomes your best friend or worst enemy, depending on your formula game. You're essentially building a cost algorithm that needs constant updating as activities change. It's like maintaining your Instagram aesthetic. One lazy post, and the whole vibe is ruined. The key is automation wherever possible. Modern ABC software integrates with ERP systems to pull data automatically, but even small companies can build decent ABC models in Excel with proper structure. The trap is making it too complex to update. If it takes a week to refresh your ABC model, it's already outdated. Tesla updates their ABC model daily using automated data feeds. Your model should be like a good TikTok strategy, flexible enough to adapt, but structured enough to be consistent. The final step is actually using the information, which sounds obvious, but is where 80% of ABC implementations die. It's like buying a gym membership versus actually going to the gym. You need to embed ABC thinking into decision-making processes, not just generate reports nobody reads. This means training managers to think in activities, not just dollars. When evaluating a new product, don't ask, "What's the margin?" Ask, "What activities will this consume?" When considering a customer complaint process change, evaluate activity elimination, not just cost reduction. Successful ABC companies make it part of their language. At Amazon, they don't say, "This is expensive." They say, "This consumes too many fulfillment activities." The culture shift is harder than the technical implementation. It's like switching from thinking in dollars to thinking in Bitcoin. Same value, completely different mental model. Excel templates and practical tools, making ABC actually work. Let's get practical about the actual tools you'll use for ABC, because knowing the theory without the tools is like knowing music theory but not owning an instrument. The basic ABC Excel template has 5 essential sheets. And if this sounds boring, remember that Excel skills literally translate to $20,000 to $30,000 higher starting salaries. So let's get this bread. Sheet 1 is your activity dictionary. Basically, the Wikipedia of what your company actually does. Each row is an activity with columns for activity name, description, cost pool total, cost driver, and driver quantity. This is like your Spotify Wrapped, but for business activities. Sheet 2 is your resource consumption matrix, showing how much of each resource, salaries, rent, utilities, goes to each activity. Think of it as tracking which roommate uses what utilities, but actually accurate. Sheet 3 is where the magic happens, the activity rate calculator. This pulls from sheets 1 and 2 to automatically calculate cost per driver unit. Use VLOOKUP or index/match functions, or XLOOKUP if you're fancy with newer Excel. The formula structure is equals total activity cost divided by total driver quantity, but with proper cell references and error handling. It's giving sophisticated spreadsheet warrior energy. Pro tip: use named ranges for everything, so your formulas read like English instead of hieroglyphics. Equals marketing underscore costs / number underscore of underscore campaigns is way clearer than equals $B$15 / F$27. This sheet should update automatically when you change assumptions, like how Instagram filters update in real time. If you're manually recalculating, you're doing it wrong. Sheet 4 is your product cost buildup, where you actually assign activity costs to products. Each product gets rows for every activity it consumes, with quantities and extended costs. This is where you'll discover your profitable products are actually money pits. Use SUMIF or sum product to aggregate cost by product and create a pivot table for different views. It's like creating different angles of the same TikTok, same data, different perspectives. Add conditional formatting to highlight products consuming unusual activity levels. When numbers turn red, that's your spreadsheet screaming, "Investigate this," like your phone warning about storage space. This sheet connects to your decision making. It should be clean enough to screenshot for presentations, but detailed enough for deep analysis. Sheet 5 is your scenario analysis playground, where you test what-if situations without breaking your actual model. What if we eliminate setups? What if we automate inspections? What if we go full Travis Scott and eliminate traditional retail? Use Excel's Scenario Manager or create a simple sensitivity analysis with data tables. This is where ABC becomes strategic rather than just descriptive. Build charts that automatically update to visualize impact. Executives love pretty pictures that move. Make it interactive with slicers if you're showing it live. The goal is to make ABC insights so obvious that even your most traditional manager can't ignore them. It's like making a TikTok that's so clear it needs no caption. Include a dashboard summary that pulls key metrics from all sheets. This is your executive view. Everything important on one screen, like how your iPhone shows all your key stats in widgets. Common ABC mistakes. The fails that'll tank your system. Time to discuss the ABC implementation fails that'll have you looking like those viral cooking disasters where someone forgot a crucial ingredient and ended up with charcoal instead of cookies. The biggest mistake is overcomplexity from day one. Trying to track 200 activities when you can barely handle 20. It's like starting your fitness journey, trying to run a marathon instead of walking around the block. Companies get excited about ABC precision and create systems so complex that nobody can maintain them. I've seen implementations with separate activities for copying documents on the 3rd floor versus copying documents on the 4th floor. That's not precision, that's insanity. Start simple, prove value, then add complexity. Instagram didn't launch with stories, reels, and shopping. They started with photos and square crops. The second major fail is using arbitrary cost drivers that sound logical but aren't actually causal. It's like assuming your phone dies faster on days you wake up earlier. Correlation isn't causation. Companies love using floor space to allocate occupancy costs, but what if your warehouse has 30-foot ceilings and you're only using the bottom 10 feet? Cubic feet might be better. Or what if most space is aisles for forklifts? Actual storage locations might be the right driver. This lazy driver selection is exactly how Radio Shack thought small electronics were profitable. They allocated rent by revenue, not by the shelf space consumed. Those profitable phones were actually eating prime retail footage, while truly profitable accessories were crammed in corners. Always ask, does more of this driver actually cause more cost? If not, find a better driver. Mistake number 3 is forgetting to update the model as business changes, leaving you with an ABC system reflecting last year's reality. It's like using last year's TikTok trends for this year's content. You'll look outdated immediately. When COVID hit, every ABC model became instantly obsolete. Delivery activities exploded, retail activities vanished, and customer service activities transformed completely. Companies still using pre-COVID models are making decisions based on fantasy. Your ABC model needs regular updates like your phone apps, not daily, but definitely not annually. Quarterly updates are the sweet spot for most businesses. Set calendar reminders, assign ownership, and treat updates as mandatory, not optional. It's like changing your passwords, annoying but necessary for security, except this secures your profitability. The 4th killer mistake is implementing ABC in isolation without changing decision-making processes. It's like buying a $5,000 camera, but still taking photos in auto mode. You've got all this beautiful cost intelligence, but managers still make decisions based on gut feel or traditional metrics. Sales keeps pushing low-margin complex products because they don't see activity costs. Production schedules setups randomly instead of minimizing setup activities. Customer service treats all customers equally instead of recognizing that some consume 10 times more service activities. ABC without ABM, activity-based management, is just expensive data collection. You need to embed activity thinking into performance metrics, incentive systems, and strategic planning. When bonuses depend on reducing activity costs, not just increasing sales, behavior changes fast. It's the difference between knowing you spend too much on DoorDash and actually deleting the app. Real-world case studies, ABC wins and fails. Let's dive into the most legendary ABC implementations that either saved or sank companies, starting with the absolute masterclass from Amazon. When Amazon implemented ABC in their fulfillment centers, they discovered that product size, not weight, drove most warehouse costs. Tiny items like jewelry consumed massive picking activities because workers spent forever finding them. while bulky items were easy to locate but consumed storage activities. This insight led to the revolutionary frustration-free packaging program and product placement optimization. Small items moved to special picking zones, bulky items to separate facilities, and suddenly fulfillment costs dropped 30%. It's like organizing your closet by how often you wear things, not by color, functional over aesthetic. This ABC insight is why Amazon can profitably ship you a phone case for $5 with free Prime delivery, while traditional retailers can't. Now for an epic fail, JCPenney's ABC disaster under CEO Ron Johnson, formerly of Apple, shows what happens when you implement ABC insights without understanding your customer base. A BC analysis showed that constant sales and coupons consumed massive activities: repricing, signage, customer service for price adjustments, and complex POS systems. Johnson eliminated these activities with everyday low prices, which was theoretically brilliant. Cut activities, reduce costs, lower prices, win customers, except JCPenney customers psychologically needed the deal feeling. Sales plummeted 25% in 1 year. It's like if Spotify eliminated playlists because they consume algorithm resources, technically efficient, but completely missing what customers actually want. The lesson: a BC tells you what costs, but you still need to understand what customers value. The healthcare ABC revolution at Cleveland Clinic is the success story nobody talks about, but everyone should study. They implemented ABC for medical procedures and discovered mind-blowing inefficiencies. A knee replacement consumed wildly different activities depending on the surgeon, despite identical outcomes. Some surgeons used specialized tools requiring extra sterilization activities. Others kept patients longer, consuming nursing activities. By standardizing best practices based on ABC analysis, they cut costs 24% while improving outcomes. It's like discovering that 5 baristas make the same latte 5 different ways, all taking different times and using different amounts of milk. The ABC analysis led to standardized protocols that improved both efficiency and quality. This is exactly what's happening with telemedicine now. ABC reveals that virtual visits eliminate massive facility activities while maintaining care quality for routine issues. The music industry's ABC journey with 360 deals shows how entire industries can transform through activity-based thinking. Labels realized that traditional recording contracts were ABC disasters. Labels bore all activity costs: recording, marketing, distribution, while artists kept touring and merchandise revenue. The 360 deal restructure allocates activities where they naturally belong. Artists who consume more label activities, studio time, marketing campaigns, share more revenue streams. It's like roommates finally splitting utilities based on actual usage instead of equally. Drake's early 360 deal with Young Money/Cash Money seemed restrictive, but actually aligned activity costs with revenue streams, making both parties invested in all revenue-generating activities. Meanwhile, artists like Macklemore, who rejected 360 deals, had to self-fund all activities but kept all revenues. Both models work, but only if you understand the underlying activity economics. Industry-specific ABC applications beyond manufacturing. Let's explore how different industries apply ABC in ways that would blow traditional cost accountants' minds, starting with software companies where ABC gets absolutely wild. At Microsoft, they don't just track development costs. They track development activities: coding, testing, debugging, documentation, and deployment. But here's where it gets interesting. They also track customer-induced activities, support tickets, bug fixes, feature requests, and training. They discovered that enterprise customers paying $1 million annually often consumed $1.5 million in activities, while small businesses paying $10,000 consumed $2,000 in activities. This led to the complete restructuring of enterprise agreements, adding paid support tiers and implementation services. It's like realizing your best customer who spends the most actually costs you money, while your basic customers are pure profit. Restaurants use ABC in ways that would make Gordon Ramsay proud and your local failing restaurant owner cry. Chipotle's ABC system tracks activities most restaurants ignore: bowl assembly time, ingredient prep complexity, customer customization requests, and digital order processing. They discovered that digital orders, despite seeming efficient, consumed more activities through order accuracy issues, remake requests, and customer service contacts. But the higher average ticket value and customer lifetime value justified these activities. This is why they built separate digital kitchen lines. Isolating activities improves efficiency. It's like having separate TikTok accounts for different content types instead of mixing everything together. Meanwhile, your local restaurant treating DoorDash orders the same as dine-in customers is bleeding money on activities they don't even track. Airlines basically invented modern ABC out of necessity because their activity costs are insanely complex. Every flight consumes different activities based on route, aircraft type, time of day, and passenger mix. Southwest's entire business model is ABC optimization, one plane type, reducing maintenance activities, point-to-point routing, eliminating hub activities, no assigned seats, reducing boarding activities, and no meals, eliminating catering activities. They can offer lower prices because they've eliminated entire categories of activities other airlines consider essential. It's like how Be Real eliminated all the editing and filter activities that Instagram requires. Same basic function, radically different activity structure. Meanwhile, full-service carriers like Emirates consciously choose high-activity models because their customers value those activities. First class isn't just a bigger seat. It's hundreds of additional activities, from dedicated check-in to gourmet catering to shower spas at 40,000 feet. The streaming industry's ABC application explains why content strategies vary so wildly between platforms. Netflix discovered that limited series consume fewer ongoing activities than continuing series. No contract renegotiations, no season planning, no risk of declining quality. This is why they lean toward limited series and cancel shows after 2 to 3 seasons. HBO Max, now Max, has different activity economics. Their prestige model means higher production activities but lower marketing activities because awards generate free publicity. Disney Plus can afford weekly releases because they're optimizing for different activities, merchandise sales, and theme park tie-ins that benefit from extended cultural relevance. It's not random strategy, it's ABC-driven decision-making. When you understand that each platform has different activity costs for the same content, their seemingly irrational decisions suddenly make perfect sense. The future of ABC, AI, automation, and real-time costing. The future of ABC is about to get absolutely insane with AI and machine learning, and if you think ABC is powerful now, wait until algorithms are automatically identifying and tracking activities humans never even noticed. Tesla's Gigafactory already uses AI-powered ABC that tracks thousands of microactivities in real time. Every robot movement, every quality check, every material movement is tracked and analyzed. The AI identifies patterns humans would never see, like how humidity on Tuesday afternoons increases quality inspection activities by 3%. It's like having TikTok's algorithm, but for cost management, constantly learning and optimizing without human intervention. This isn't science fiction. It's happening right now in advanced manufacturing facilities. Real-time ABC is replacing periodic analysis, and it's changing everything about how businesses operate. Instead of monthly or quarterly ABC reports, companies get instant activity cost feedback. Amazon's fulfillment centers know within seconds if an activity is consuming unusual resources. If package scanning suddenly takes 10% longer, alerts fire immediately. It's like your iPhone screen time sending you notifications when you exceed limits, except for business activities. This real-time feedback enables dynamic pricing that traditional companies can't match. When Uber knows that airport pickups are consuming more activities due to construction, prices adjust immediately. When DoorDash detects that restaurant wait times are increasing dinner delivery activities, fees change in real time. Companies still using quarterly ABC updates are like people using paper maps while everyone else has GPS. Blockchain integration with ABC is about to solve the biggest problem in supply chain costing: activity tracking across companies. When Nike manufactures shoes involving dozens of suppliers, tracking true activity costs is nearly impossible with traditional systems. But blockchain-based ABC creates an immutable record of every activity from raw material to retail sale. Each participant records their activities on-chain, creating perfect cost transparency. It's like having red receipts for every business activity, impossible to fake or hide. This will revolutionize pricing negotiations because everyone will know actual activity costs. Imagine if record labels and artists had perfect transparency on all activities. Streaming platforms couldn't hide behind mysterious algorithms, and artists couldn't claim costs that don't exist. The companies that embrace this transparency will dominate because they can price precisely while competitors guess. The convergence of IoT sensors and ABC means every physical activity will be automatically tracked and costed. Smart factories already have sensors on everything, but next generation ABC will interpret this data automatically. A machine's vibration pattern indicates maintenance activities are needed. RFID tags track product movement activities without human counting. Employee badges track time spent on different activities without timesheets. It's like how your phone tracks your location, steps, and app usage without you doing anything. This automatic activity capture eliminates the biggest ABC implementation barrier: data collection effort. When activities track themselves, ABC becomes effortless and universal. Every business decision will be informed by accurate activity costs because the data will be unavoidable. Companies that don't adopt this will be like businesses that refuse to use email. Technically possible, but practically irrelevant. ABC and sustainability, the green revolution. Here's something your textbook definitely doesn't cover, but absolutely should. ABC is becoming the secret weapon for sustainability initiatives, and it's about to change how every company thinks about environmental costs. Traditional costing treats environmental impact as an externality, someone else's problem. But ABC can track environmental activities just like financial ones: carbon emissions per activity, water usage per process, waste generation per product. Patagonia uses environmental ABC to make decisions, tracking not just dollar costs but environmental costs for every activity. They discovered that shipping individual online orders consumed 5 times more packaging activities than bulk retail shipments, leading to their revolutionary Buy Less campaign that seemed financially insane but was environmentally rational. The circular economy makes 0 sense without ABC thinking, which is why traditional companies struggle with sustainability while startups thrive. When Interface Incorporated, carpet manufacturer, implemented environmental ABC, they discovered that taking back old carpet for recycling seemed expensive until you tracked all activities. New carpet required raw material extraction, processing, and transportation activities. Recycled carpet eliminated extraction and reduced processing, making it cheaper despite the take-back logistics. It's like how buying used textbooks seems obviously cheaper until you factor in finding them, condition uncertainty, and resale difficulty. The activity costs change the equation. Companies using ABC for sustainability find profitable environmental strategies, while traditional costers see only added expenses. Carbon credit markets are essentially ABC for emissions, and understanding this will be crucial for every business soon. Each activity generates emissions: manufacturing, shipping, even Zoom calls, data center energy. Carbon ABC tracks these emissions by activity, enabling precise offsetting or reduction strategies. Microsoft's carbon negative pledge by 2030 relies entirely on activity-based carbon tracking. They know exactly which activities generate emissions and can strategically eliminate or offset them. It's like tracking your carbon footprint, but at corporate scale, with financial implications. When carbon taxes arrive, and they will, companies with emissions ABC will price products accurately while others guess. Tesla's entire business model is basically regulatory arbitrage through emissions ABC. They know their activity emissions are negative, earning credits, while traditional automakers pay billions in carbon costs. The social cost revolution happening in Europe requires ABC thinking to comply with new regulations. Companies must report social impacts, living wages, community effects, and equality measures. These are all activities that can be tracked and costed. When H&M analyzes supplier factories, they don't just track production costs, but social activities, worker training, safety measures, and community investment. Fair trade coffee premiums are literally ABC for social good, tracking and pricing the activities that create positive social impact. This isn't just feel-good marketing, it's becoming legally required. Companies that can't track social activities will be locked out of markets, denied investment, and abandoned by consumers. The future isn't just financial ABC, but comprehensive impact ABC covering financial, environmental, and social activities. Understanding this now puts you ahead of 99% of business professionals who still think sustainability is just a PR expense. Personal ABC, optimizing your own life. Let's get personal and talk about how you can use ABC thinking to optimize your own life, because these principles aren't just for corporations. They're for anyone trying to maximize value from limited resources, aka all of us. Your time is your primary resource, and everything you do is an activity consuming that resource. Most people track money carefully but treat time like it's infinite. That's like a company tracking material costs but ignoring labor. Start tracking your activities: studying, working, socializing, scrolling, sleeping. Use your phone's screen time data, add a time tracking app, or go old school with a notebook. You'll discover shocking activity consumption patterns, like how quick TikTok breaks consume 3 hours daily while no time for the gym is somehow still true. Once you're tracking activities, apply cost drivers to understand what's really happening. Your study time, activity, might be driven by different factors: course difficulty, professor quality, your interest level, or time of day. Maybe you discover that 1 hour of morning studying equals 3 hours of night studying in terms of retention. That's your personal activity rate showing morning study is 3 times more efficient. It's like discovering that some Uber routes pay 3 times more per mile than others. This insight should reshape your entire schedule. Same with social activities. Track the energy cost, not just time. Some friendships energize you, negative cost, while others drain you, high cost. Your dating life has activity costs: app swiping, texting, actual dates, emotional processing. When you realize certain dating activities have terrible ROI, you naturally optimize. Your career decisions become crystal clear with ABC thinking. That high-paying job might have hidden activity costs: commute time, stress, health activities, networking requirements, and continuous learning demands. Meanwhile, a lower-paying remote job eliminates commute activities, reduces wardrobe costs, and enables side hustle activities. It's like choosing between two apartments. Rent is just one cost among many activities. I know someone who took a 20% pay cut to go remote, eliminated $500 per month in commute costs, gained 3 hours daily, and started a side business in that time that now makes more than the pay cut. That's ABC optimization. Your education is the same. Is that master's degree worth the activity costs? Or could you get the same career benefit from certificates and self-study? The relationship between personal ABC and happiness is where this gets actually life-changing. Happy people unconsciously optimize their activity mix for satisfaction, not just efficiency. They eliminate low-value activities, toxic relationships, unfulfilling work, mindless consumption, and invest in high-return activities, meaningful relationships, personal growth, experiences. It's like a company focusing on profitable products instead of revenue volume. Track your happiness levels after different activities. You might discover that expensive activities, concerts, travel, provide lasting happiness, while cheap activities, scrolling, binging, provide momentary pleasure but long-term emptiness. This isn't about being productive every second. Rest and fun are necessary activities. It's about conscious choice. When you understand your personal activity costs and returns, you stop wondering where time goes and start deliberately investing it. That's the ultimate ABC flex, optimizing your life for whatever you actually value, not what society says you should value. Building your ABC mindset, the mental model revolution. Developing an ABC mindset is about fundamentally changing how you see the world, like when you finally understand music theory and suddenly every song makes structural sense. Start by questioning every process you encounter. What activities are actually happening here? When you're waiting in line at Starbucks, you're not just seeing a coffee shop anymore. You're seeing order-taking activities, payment processing activities, beverage preparation activities, and customer flow activities. Notice how mobile orders skip certain activities entirely. That's why Starbucks pushes the app so hard. Eliminated activities are pure profit. This mental shift from seeing things to seeing activities is like Neo seeing the Matrix code. Suddenly, patterns emerge everywhere. The key to ABC thinking is constantly asking, what drives this? Instead of accepting surface-level explanations. Your professor says office hours are underutilized. Traditional thinking, students are lazy. ABC thinking, what activities drive office hour attendance? Location convenience, timing conflicts, perceived value, professor approachability, alternative resources available. Once you identify drivers, you can influence outcomes. Moving office hours online eliminates location activities. Recording them eliminates timing activities. Creating specific problem-solving sessions increases perceived value. It's like debugging code. You need to understand what causes the behavior before you can fix it. This applies everywhere. Why do some TikToks go viral? Algorithm activities. Why do some restaurants have lines? Perceived value activities. Why do some students succeed? Learning activity optimization. Training your ABC observation skills is like developing perfect pitch. Practice makes permanent. Start with familiar environments. Map your apartment's activities: cooking, cleaning, studying, relaxing. What drives each? Cooking is driven by meal complexity, cleaning by mess generation, studying by distraction levels. Now optimize. Meal prep reduces daily cooking activities. Minimalism reduces cleaning activities. Designated study spaces reduce setup activities. Next, apply this to your daily routine. Your morning routine has activities: waking, hygiene, dressing, eating, commuting. What drives duration? Preparation the night before, decision fatigue, distance to things. That's why successful people wear the same thing daily. eliminated decision activities. Steve Jobs didn't wear black turtlenecks for style. He wore them to eliminate morning decision activities. The advanced level is seeing activity patterns across systems and predicting business models. When you understand ABC deeply, you can reverse engineer any company's strategy. Why does Costco charge membership fees? Because it eliminates price comparison shopping activities and customer acquisition costs, enabling lower margins. Why does Amazon Prime exist? It eliminates purchase decision activities. Once you've paid for shipping, buying becomes frictionless. Why do gyms want annual contracts? Because it eliminates monthly billing activities and retention efforts. Every successful business model is just clever activity management. When you see a new business, ask, what activities are they eliminating, automating, or redistributing? That's their competitive advantage. This mindset makes you invaluable in any role because you see efficiency opportunities others miss. You become the person who asks, why do we do this? And actually has better alternatives. That's career rocket fuel powered by ABC thinking. ABC in your career, making yourself indispensable. Understanding. ABC will literally make you dangerous in any business role, and I'm about to show you exactly how to weaponize this knowledge for career domination. In your internship or entry-level job, while everyone else is just doing tasks, you'll be understanding activity economics. When your manager complains about departmental costs, you'll be the one who can actually identify which activities are driving those costs. It's like being the only person who understands why the Wi-Fi is slow, while everyone else just complains. During my friend's internship at Goldman Sachs, she used ABC thinking to identify that small client accounts consumed the same onboarding activities as large accounts, but generated 10% of the revenue. Her presentation led to minimum account sizes and automated onboarding for smaller clients. That's how you go from intern to full-time offer, solving problems nobody else can even see. In consulting, ABC is your secret weapon for looking brilliant in client meetings. While other analysts present generic, reduce costs by 10% recommendations, you'll identify specific activities to eliminate or optimize. Your customer service callback rate drives 30% of support activities. Fixing the root cause eliminates $2 million in annual activity costs. That specificity gets you promoted. McKinsey consultants literally build their careers on ABC analyses disguised as operational transformations. They walk into companies, implement ABC thinking, identify activity inefficiencies, and charge millions for what you're learning right now. The only difference is packaging and confidence. When you can walk into any business and immediately spot activity optimization opportunities, you become invaluable. It's like having X-ray vision for business problems. For entrepreneurship, ABC thinking is the difference between successful and failed startups. Most startups fail because they don't understand their true activity costs until it's too late. They think they're profitable because they're counting revenue minus materials, ignoring all the activities consuming resources. Your food truck might seem profitable at $15 per meal with $5 in ingredients, but what about location scouting activities, permit activities, cleaning activities, and social media activities? Understanding ABC lets you price correctly from day one. When my friend started her jewelry business, ABC analysis revealed that custom pieces consume 10 times more activities than ready-made pieces for only 2 times the price. She adjusted pricing, and profitability exploded. Every successful entrepreneur unconsciously uses ABC thinking. You're just learning to do it consciously. The long-term career impact of ABC mastery compounds like crypto gains in 2017, before the crash. You become the person who sees through corporate BS and identifies real value creation. In 5 years, while peers are still doing surface-level analyses, you'll be redesigning entire business models. You'll spot acquisition targets by identifying companies, with inefficient activity structures. You'll negotiate better because you understand true cost drivers. You'll make strategic decisions based on activity implications, not just financial projections. Partners at PE firms make millions because they understand activity economics better than current management. CFOs get hired because they can restructure activity costs, not just read financial statements. This isn't just about cost accounting. It's about understanding how businesses actually work versus how they appear to work. That understanding is worth more than any technical skill because it applies everywhere, from Fortune 500 companies to your own startup to optimizing your personal life. Implementation roadmap from theory to reality. Let's build your actual 90-day implementation roadmap for ABC, whether you're doing this for a class project, your internship, or your own business. Days 1 to 30 are reconnaissance. You're basically doing espionage on current operations. Don't announce you're implementing ABC, just observe. Shadow different departments, time activities, count transactions, note patterns. It's like scouting before a heist. You need to know every detail before making your move. Create your activity dictionary during this phase, but keep it draft mode. Use your phone to secretly time activities, take notes on inefficiencies, and identify pain points people complain about. This is exactly how consultants start engagements. They just watch and listen before prescribing solutions. By day 30, you should have 15 to 25 activities identified with rough estimates of resource consumption. Days 31 to 60 are building and testing your model. Start with Excel. Don't overcomplicate with expensive software yet. Build your 5-sheet template, activity dictionary, resource consumption, rate calculation, product costing, and scenario analysis. Use historical data if available, estimates if not. The key is starting somewhere and refining, not perfection from day one. It's like launching a TikTok account. Your first videos won't be perfect, but you need to start to improve. Test your model on 2 to 3 products or services first, not everything. When the numbers reveal surprising insights, and they will, that's validation you're on track. If everything matches expectations, your model needs work. Share preliminary findings with trusted colleagues to get feedback. By day 60, you should have a working model with actual rates and initial product costs calculated. Days 61 to 90 are selling and scaling. This is where you transform from analyst to change agent. Create 3 killer visualizations showing the cost shifts ABC reveals. Make them so clear that executives can't ignore them. Use before-after comparisons, waterfall charts showing where costs actually go, and heat maps highlighting problem areas. Present to management with specific recommendations, not just problems. GPS systems are 69% more expensive than we thought, but here are 3 activities we can eliminate to restore profitability. Provide quick wins, activities that can be eliminated immediately for instant savings. It's like showing someone their screen time data, then immediately helping them set app limits. Start training others in ABC, thinking using their actual work as examples. By day 90, you should have management buy-in, initial changes implemented, and plans for fuller rollout. The sustainability phase, day 91 and beyond, is where most ABC implementations fail, but yours won't, because you'll build it into routine operations. Set up monthly model updates as recurring calendar events. Assign activity owners who report on their metrics. Create dashboards that update automatically. Nobody maintains what requires manual work. Build ABC thinking into decision templates. New product proposals must include activity analysis. Customer onboarding must evaluate activity costs, and process changes must show activity impact. It's like maintaining your fitness after initial weight loss. Systems and habits matter more than motivation. Celebrate wins publicly to maintain momentum. When ABC saves money or reveals opportunities, make sure everyone knows. Success breeds adoption. After 6 months, ABC should be embedded in culture, not just spreadsheets. That's when you've truly won. When people think in activities naturally, like how you now unconsciously evaluate everything through an ABC lens. Advanced ABC techniques, next level mastery. We're entering galaxy brain territory with advanced ABC techniques that'll separate you from people who just know the basics. Time-driven ABC, TDABC, is the evolution that solves traditional ABC's complexity problem. Instead of tracking every activity separately, you estimate time equations. For example, customer service time equals 5 minutes base plus 2 minutes per product question, plus 10 minutes if complaint, plus 15 minutes if return. One equation replaces multiple activity tracking. It's like how Spotify doesn't track every possible playlist combination. They use algorithms to estimate preference patterns. UPS uses TDABC for delivery routes. Base time plus distance time plus stop time plus package handling time. This scales infinitely without complexity explosion. When you understand TDABC, you can implement ABC in situations where traditional ABC would be impossible. Feature-based costing takes ABC to the product design level, and this is where you influence strategy, not just report costs. Instead of costing finished products, you cost individual features, then combine them. Tesla's Model 3 has base activities plus feature activities. Autopilot adds software activities. Long-range battery adds cell activities. Performance package adds testing activities. Customers essentially build their activity consumption profile. It's like Chipotle's pricing model. Base burrito plus activity adding modifications. This approach revolutionizes pricing strategy because you can price each feature based on its activity consumption. When Apple prices storage upgrades at $100 for barely any additional cost, they're using feature-based costing to maximize margins on low-activity features while potentially subsidizing high-activity features like cameras. Customer profitability, ABC, is where you realize some customers actually cost you money. Amazon knows exactly which customers are profitable based on their activity patterns, return frequency, customer service contacts, delivery difficulty, and payment methods. Prime members who order frequently with no returns are gold. Customers who order once, return half, and call support are literally unprofitable. This is why Amazon can ban customers who return too much. They're protecting profitability, not being mean. Banks use customer ABC religiously. That client with $100,000 who never calls is more profitable than the one with $500,000 calling daily for support. When you apply customer ABC to any business, you discover the 80-20 rule on steroids. Often 20% of customers generate 150% of profits, while 30% actually lose money. This insight drives everything from service levels to marketing targeting. Capacity-based ABC accounts for unused capacity, solving traditional ABC's biggest theoretical flaw. If your factory can produce 10,000 units but only makes 6,000, traditional ABC spreads all costs over 6,000, making them look expensive. Capacity ABC separates used from unused capacity costs. Those 6,000 units only bear the cost of capacity they actually use. Unused capacity is a separate management issue. It's like rating an Uber driver poorly because the car has empty seats, irrelevant to your ride quality. This matters hugely for strategic decisions. A product might look unprofitable under traditional ABC, but profitable under capacity ABC because it's utilizing otherwise wasted resources. Airlines master this with standby pricing. Any revenue above marginal activity cost is profitable for unused capacity. Understanding capacity ABC prevents the death spiral, where companies cut profitable products because they look expensive due to unused capacity allocation. Global ABC perspectives, how different cultures count costs. The way different countries and cultures approach ABC is absolutely fascinating and will matter increasingly as business goes global. Japanese companies basically invented ABC without calling it ABC through their Kaizen and lean manufacturing philosophies. Toyota's famous production system is essentially ABC on steroids. Every movement is an activity, every activity is measured, and every measurement drives improvement. But here's the cultural twist. Japanese ABC focuses on activity elimination through continuous improvement, while American ABC focuses on activity pricing for profitability. It's like how Japanese Kit Kats have 300 flavors optimized for local preferences, while American Kit Kats have 5 flavors optimized for mass production. Same tool, completely different applications based on cultural values. European companies, especially German ones, take ABC precision to insane levels that would make American managers cry. BMW tracks thousands of micro-activities in their production process, with different rates for different factories, shifts, and even weather conditions. German ABC includes environmental and social activities by default. They track carbon per activity and worker satisfaction per process. It's giving engineering excellence energy, but for cost accounting. Meanwhile, Scandinavian companies use ABC for equality analysis, tracking whether certain activities create unfair work distributions. When Spotify, Swedish, analyzes activities, they include work-life balance impacts. This comprehensive approach seems excessive to Americans focused on pure financial returns, but it creates sustainable competitive advantages. It's like how European festivals include camping and culture, while American festivals are just concerts. Different definitions of value. Chinese companies are revolutionizing ABC through scale and technology in ways that seem impossible to Western businesses. Alibaba tracks billions of activities across their ecosystem using AI-powered ABC that no human could manage. They know the cost of every click, every search, every millisecond of server time, aggregated in real time across millions of merchants. But here's the twist. Chinese ABC often ignores traditional Western boundaries between companies. Suppliers, manufacturers, and retailers share activity data openly within ecosystems. It's like how WeChat combines payment, social, shopping, and services, activities that American companies would never share. This collective ABC creates efficiencies impossible in isolated Western companies. When Shane coordinates activities across thousands of suppliers, they achieve fast fashion speeds that Zara can't match despite inventing the model. Indian companies are pioneering frugal ABC, achieving activity-based insights with minimal resources. Instead of expensive consultants and software, they use practical approximations and local innovations. Indian hospitals track medical procedure activities using WhatsApp and Excel, achieving 80% of ABC benefits at 5% of the cost. It's like how Indian street food vendors intuitively know their activity cost without formal systems, experience and observation replacing complex calculations. This frugal approach is spreading globally as companies realize perfect ABC isn't necessary for massive improvements. When you understand these global perspectives, you realize ABC isn't one tool, but a philosophy adapted to local contexts. The future of business is combining these approaches: Japanese continuous improvement, German precision, Chinese scale, and Indian frugality. Companies that can blend these ABC philosophies will dominate global markets. Crisis management through ABC when everything goes wrong. Let's talk about how ABC becomes absolutely crucial during crisis situations, using COVID-19 as the ultimate case study in rapid activity restructuring. When lockdowns hit, every company's activity structure imploded overnight. Restaurants lost dine-in activities but gained delivery activities. Gyms lost physical activities but needed digital activities. Traditional costing couldn't handle this chaos. It's like trying to use last year's map after an earthquake rearranged the landscape. Companies with ABC capabilities pivoted fast because they understood exactly which activities were affected. Chipotle knew precisely how much dine-in activities cost versus digital orders, enabling instant strategy shifts. Meanwhile, restaurants without ABC just guessed, and many guessed wrong into bankruptcy. The airline's COVID response showcased masterclass crisis ABC. Within days, they identified which activities could be suspended, in-flight service, which were fixed, plane leases, and which could be modified, routes. Southwest eliminated activities faster than competitors because their ABC system showed exactly where costs lived. They parked planes strategically to minimize maintenance activities, cut routes that consumed maximum activities for minimum revenue, and shifted capacity to cargo, all based on activity analysis. It's like triaging emergency room patients. You need to know exactly what resources each condition consumes. Airlines without granular ABC data made across-the-board cuts, often eliminating profitable activities while keeping expensive ones. United accidentally cut routes that were activity efficient while keeping activity-intensive international routes, losing millions daily until ABC analysis revealed the error. The supply chain crisis revealed how ABC predicts and manages disruptions better than traditional costing. When shipping costs exploded 10 times, companies needed to know exactly which products could bear those activity costs. Nike's ABC showed that high-value shoes could absorb shipping activities, while low-value accessories couldn't. They shifted production accordingly, maintaining profitability while competitors just ate costs or stopped shipping. It's like surge pricing, but for your entire supply chain. You need to know which activities are surging and which products can afford them. Companies started tracking new crisis activities, container tracking, alternative sourcing, expedited shipping, and quality issues from new suppliers. Those with ABC systems adapted. Those without just reacted. The Great Resignation created a human resources activity crisis that ABC helped solve. When employees quit en masse, the activities of hiring, training, and knowledge transfer exploded. Companies with ABC knew exactly how much turnover cost in activities, not just salaries. Tech companies discovered that losing one senior engineer created 3 to 6 months of activity costs through productivity loss, hiring, and training, often exceeding $500,000. This justified massive retention bonuses that seemed crazy without ABC context. It's like understanding why canceling a concert costs more than the artist's fee. All the preparatory activities are wasted. Smart companies used ABC to identify which roles created maximum activity disruption when vacant, focusing retention efforts strategically. They also redesigned processes to reduce dependency on specific people, distributing activities to reduce resignation risk. Crisis ABC isn't just about surviving disruption. It's about emerging stronger by understanding exactly how disruption affects your activity ecosystem. The psychology of ABC resistance. Why people fight progress. Understanding why people resist. ABC is just as important as understanding the technical implementation, because you'll face this resistance everywhere and need to overcome it. The first resistance comes from managers who've built careers on traditional costing myths. When ABC reveals that their profitable division actually loses money, they fight like their life depends on it because their bonus does. It's like telling someone their favorite artist is actually trash based on music theory. Even if you're right, they'll defend their position emotionally. I've seen sales VPs literally sabotage ABC implementations because it showed their big deals were unprofitable after activity costs. They'd rather keep the illusion than face reality. The key to overcoming this is gradual revelation and inclusive involvement. Don't drop bombshells. Build understanding slowly. Include resistant managers in the ABC design so they own the results rather than feeling attacked by them. Workers resist ABC because they think it's just another way to eliminate jobs. And honestly, sometimes they're right. When ABC reveals that certain activities add no value, those activities and associated jobs often disappear. It's like when Spotify's algorithm replaced radio DJs, more efficient but unemploying for those affected. The fear is rational, so address it honestly. Emphasize that ABC typically reshuffles work rather than eliminating it. Those inspection activities might disappear, but quality improvement activities increase. Customer service calls might decrease, but customer success activities expand. Frame ABC as identifying where people add most value, not where they're expendable. When Amazon implemented Warehouse ABC, workers initially resisted the tracking. But when ABC showed that certain tasks were unnecessarily difficult, Amazon redesigned them, making work easier. Workers became ABC advocates when they saw it could improve their lives, not just corporate profits. Finance teams often resist ABC because it challenges their expertise monopoly. Traditional costing is their domain, complex enough that others can't challenge them, but simple enough that they control it. ABC democratizes cost understanding, letting operations people see through finance's black box. It's like when Instagram let everyone be photographers. Professionals felt threatened by accessibility. Finance fears becoming irrelevant if everyone understands costs. The solution is repositioning finance as ABC enablers rather than gatekeepers. They become strategic advisors interpreting ABC insights rather than just report generators. Show them how ABC elevates their role from scorekeepers to strategic partners. When Microsoft's finance team initially resisted ABC, leadership repositioned them as activity economists, guiding strategic decisions. They went from resistance to championing ABC because it increased their organizational influence. The deepest resistance is psychological. ABC forces people to confront uncomfortable truths about waste and inefficiency. Nobody wants to admit they've been doing things wrong for years. It's like finally tracking your spending and realizing you've wasted thousands on subscriptions you don't use. The cognitive dissonance is painful. People would rather continue being wrong than admit past mistakes. Overcome this by focusing on future improvement rather than past failures. Frame ABC as evolution, not revolution. Celebrate learning and adjustment rather than punishing past decisions made without ABC information. Create psychological safety, where admitting inefficiency is rewarded, with resources to improve rather than punishment for waste. When people feel safe to acknowledge reality, they embrace ABC as a tool for improvement rather than judgment. The companies that succeed with ABC understand it's 20% technical implementation and 80% change management psychology. Integration with other systems, making ABC play. Nice. ABC doesn't exist in isolation. It needs to integrate with every other system in your company, and this integration is where implementations succeed or fail spectacularly. Your ERP system is the backbone that feeds ABC, but most ERPs are designed for traditional costing. It's like trying to run TikTok's algorithm on Instagram's infrastructure. Technically possible, but requiring serious workarounds. SAP and Oracle claim ABC capabilities, but their definitions of activity are often too rigid for real ABC. You need middleware or custom fields to capture true activity drivers. The key is mapping ERP transactions to activities automatically. When a purchase order processes, it should trigger procurement activities. When inventory moves, it should record handling activities. Without this automation, ABC becomes a manual nightmare that nobody maintains. Smart companies build APIs, that translate ERP data into ABC inputs automatically, like how Zapier connects incompatible apps. CRM integration with ABC reveals customer profitability patterns that change everything about sales and service. When Salesforce talks to your ABC system, you know exactly which customers consume which activities. That strategic account demanding weekly meetings, custom reports, and executive attention might be consuming $500,000 in activities for $400,000 in revenue. Meanwhile, the small customer placing standard orders through the portal generates pure profit. It's like dating someone high maintenance versus low maintenance. The drama might not be worth the excitement. This integration drives decisions about service levels, pricing, and customer selection. When HubSpot integrated with ABC at a SaaS company, they discovered that enterprise customers consuming the most support activities had the highest churn. The correlation was shocking. Needy customers don't stay. This insight reshaped their entire customer acquisition strategy towards self-sufficient mid-market companies. Business intelligence platforms turn ABC data into actionable insights, but only if properly configured. Tableau, Power BI, and Looker can visualize activity patterns beautifully, but garbage in equals garbage out. The key is building dynamic dashboards that update automatically as activities change, show heat maps of activity consumption, trend lines of activity efficiency, and drill down capabilities to investigate anomalies. It's like having Instagram analytics, but for your entire operation. You see what's working, what's failing, and what's trending. When executives can see real-time activity costs on their phones, ABC becomes part of daily decision-making rather than quarterly reviews. The most successful implementations create role-specific dashboards. Operations sees activity efficiency, sales sees customer profitability, and finance sees margin analysis. Everyone looks at the same data through their relevant lens. The future integration is with AI and machine learning platforms that don't just report ABC data, but predict and prescribe based on it. When your ABC system connects to AI, it identifies patterns humans would never see. Maybe customer service activities spike every third Tuesday because of a system glitch nobody noticed. Maybe certain product combinations create activity inefficiencies in shipping. AI can predict which customers will become unprofitable based on early activity patterns, which processes will bottleneck during scaling, and which activities will become obsolete with technology changes. It's like how Netflix knows you'll like a show before you do. Pattern recognition at scale. Companies leading in ABC integration aren't just connecting systems. They're creating intelligent ecosystems where activity data flows seamlessly between platforms, creating insights that drive competitive advantage. The integration challenge isn't technical anymore, it's organizational. Getting different departments to share their activity data for collective optimization. ABC certification and career paths, leveling up your game. Let's talk about how to turn your ABC knowledge into actual career credentials that make employers throw money at you. The IMA, Institute of Management Accountants, offers the CMA, Certified Management Accountant, certification, which heavily features ABC and activity-based management. It's like getting a blue check mark, but for accounting, instant credibility upgrade. The CMA exam specifically tests ABC implementation, overhead allocation, and activity analysis. With average CMA salaries running $20,000 to $30,000 higher than non-certified accountants, the ROI is insane. It's basically the accounting equivalent of getting AWS certified in tech. Employers assume you know what you're doing. Study for 6 to 12 months, pass 2 exams, and suddenly you're the ABC expert everyone needs. Consulting firms desperately need ABC literate analysts, and they pay accordingly. McKinsey, Bain, and BCG all use ABC in their operations practices, though they'll call it activity-based transformation or operational excellence, Because consultants love rebranding common concepts, starting salaries at MBB firms hit $100,000 plus for undergrads who can demonstrate ABC thinking in case interviews. The trick is showing how you'd apply ABC to their client scenarios. When they present a profitability problem, you immediately ask about activity drivers. When they discuss cost reduction, you identify specific activities to eliminate rather than generic efficiency improvements. It's like speaking their secret language. Even boutique consulting firms focusing on specific industries, healthcare, retail, manufacturing, prize ABC skills because it's their primary tool for finding client value. The corporate paths for ABC experts are incredibly diverse and lucrative. Every Fortune 500 company needs ABC expertise in roles like cost analyst, $70,000 to $90,000 starting, senior financial analyst, $90,000 to $120,000, pricing manager, $100,000 to $140,000, and eventually CFO, $500,000 plus. But here's the secret. The best opportunities aren't in traditional finance roles. Operations managers who understand ABC become COOs. Marketing managers who grasp customer profitability, ABC become CMOS. Supply chain analysts who apply ABC become chief supply chain officers. It's like learning to code, valuable in tech roles, but game-changing in non-tech roles where it's unexpected. My friend used ABC knowledge to transition from accounting to product management at Meta, literally doubling her salary because she could analyze feature profitability. The entrepreneurial applications of ABC expertise are absolutely limitless. You could start an ABC consulting firm tomorrow. Small businesses desperately need this expertise, but can't afford big firms. Charge $5,000 to $10,000 for basic ABC implementations, and you're looking at $200,000 plus annually with just 30 clients. Or build ABC software for specific industries, ABC for restaurants, ABC for e-commerce, ABC for influencers. The TAM total addressable market is massive because every business needs cost intelligence. You could also use ABC knowledge to identify and flip undervalued businesses. Find companies with good revenue but poor profitability. Implement ABC to identify waste, eliminate bad activities, and sell for 3 to 5 times what you paid. It's like house flipping but for businesses, and the returns are way better. The combination of ABC knowledge and entrepreneurial thinking is literally a money printer. You see opportunities where others see complexity. Your ABC action plan, from knowledge to results. Time to create your personal ABC action plan that transforms you from student to practitioner. And this is where we separate the people who just watch lectures from those who actually change their trajectories. Week 1. Start observing activities everywhere. Your campus job, favorite restaurant, workout routine. Identify activities and their drivers. Download a time tracking app and monitor your own activities for 1 week. You'll be shocked at where time actually goes versus where you think it goes. Create a simple Excel sheet tracking one process you do regularly, maybe your study routine or content creation workflow. Calculate your personal activity rates, cost per assignment, ROI per study hour, or profit per post. This isn't about perfection. It's about starting the mental shift from thinking in outcomes to thinking in activities. Week 2 to 3, build your first real ABC model for something that matters. If you have a job or internship, model one process there. If not, model a local business you understand, your gym, coffee shop, or favorite bar. Interview workers about what they actually do, time activities discreetly, and estimate resource consumption. Build the 5-sheet Excel template we discussed. Your goal isn't accuracy, it's practice with the framework. Share your findings with someone who cares, a manager, owner, or professor. Their feedback will show you what resonates and what needs work. This real-world application is worth more than any textbook exercise because you're dealing with messy reality, not clean academic examples. Week 4 to 8. Deepen your expertise through application and learning. Take an online ABC course on Coursera or LinkedIn Learning. They're usually under $50 and add certificates to your profile. Join the IMA as a student member, discounted rate, and access their ABC resources. Read Time-Driven Activity-Based Costing by Kaplan and Anderson. It's the Bible of modern ABC. Start a blog or TikTok documenting ABC applications in everyday life. This builds your portfolio while forcing you to think creatively about ABC applications. Connect with professionals using ABC on LinkedIn. Most are happy to share experiences with eager students. Apply ABC thinking to a problem in your life, optimizing your class schedule, evaluating job offers, or deciding whether grad school is worth it. Week 9 to 12 and beyond, monetize your ABC knowledge while building expertise. Offer to do ABC analysis for local businesses as a project for credit or small fee. Even $500 for a basic analysis is good money for a student while building your portfolio. Include ABC analysis in every class project possible, marketing projects, analyzing customer profitability, operations projects, optimizing processes, and strategy projects evaluating business models. Add activity-based costing to your LinkedIn skills and resume. Prepare ABC case examples for interviews, showing you can apply ABC thinking to their business problems. Consider starting CMA exam preparation if you're serious about management accounting. The goal is making ABC part of your professional identity, not just something you studied once. When you naturally think in activities and can communicate those insights clearly, you've succeeded. That expertise will compound throughout your career, opening doors others don't even know exist. Breaking down complex ABC calculations, making the math make sense. All right, let's demystify the actual calculations that make people's brains melt. But I promise this is about to click like when you finally understood derivatives in calculus. The fundamental ABC equation is beautiful in its simplicity. Activity cost divided by activity driver quantity equals activity rate. Then, activity rate times driver consumption equals cost assigned. That's literally it. Everything else is just variations on this theme. It's like how every TikTok dance is just different movements to music, same structure, infinite possibilities. When you see complex ABC calculations, they're just multiple activities calculated separately, then summed. It's addition and division, not rocket science, even though consultants want you to think it's complicated so they can charge more. Let's work through a real example that'll make this concrete. Imagine a record label pressing vinyl albums. Activity 1. Master creation costs $10,000 per master. Driver is number of masters. Activity 2. Pressing costs $100,000 for 10,000 pressings. Driver is units pressed. Activity 3. Quality control costs $50,000 for 1,000 inspection hours. Activity 4. Packaging costs $30,000 for 5,000 packages. Now calculate rates. Mastering equals $10,000 per master. Pressing equals $10 per unit. Quality equals $50 per inspection hour. Packaging equals $6 per package. For a limited edition album with one master, 1,000 units pressed, 10 inspection hours, and 1,000 packages, total ABC cost equals $10,000 plus $10,000 plus $10,000, 50 times 10, plus 6 times 1,000 equals $26,500. Traditional costing might have just divided total overhead by units, completely missing that limited editions consume more mastering and inspection activities per unit. The complexity comes when you have shared activities and need to use multiple drivers. This is where resource consumption percentages enter. If 3 products share a quality control department costing $100,000, you need to determine how much each product consumes. Product A, 500 inspection hours. Product B, 300 hours. Product C, 200 hours. Total, 1,000 hours. Product A consumes 50%, B consumes 30%, C consumes 20%. Product A gets $50,000 allocated, and so on. But here's the next level. What if products consume different types of inspections? Visual inspection might cost less than technical testing. Now you need secondary drivers. It's like calculating Uber costs when some rides are Uber X and others are Uber Black. Same distance, different rates based on service type consumed. The pro move is building dynamic models that update automatically when drivers change. Use some product in Excel to multiply activity rates by consumption arrays. Create data validation lists for activity drivers so users can only input valid options. Build error checking formulas that flag when allocations don't sum to 100%. Use conditional formatting to highlight unusual consumption patterns. It's like building a TikTok algorithm, complex backend, simple front end. The math isn't hard. Organizing it efficiently is the challenge. When your ABC model can handle new products without restructuring, varying activity levels without breaking, and scenario analysis without manual recalculation, you've mastered the calculations. Remember, ABC math is just multiplication and division repeated strategically. If you can calculate tips and split bills, you can do ABC calculations. The insight comes from choosing the right activities and drivers, not from complex mathematics. The meta lesson, what ABC really teaches about business. Beyond the formulas and Excel sheets, ABC teaches you something profound about business and life that your textbook won't explicitly state. Everything is an activity consuming resources, and understanding consumption patterns is power. This meta lesson transforms how you see everything. When you deeply understand ABC, you realize every business is just a collection of activities organized efficiently or inefficiently. Every success or failure comes down to activity management. Amazon isn't a retailer, it's an activity optimization machine. Tesla isn't a car company, it's an activity disruption engine. This perspective shift is like finally understanding that social media isn't about connection, it's about attention harvesting. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. The deeper insight is that competitive advantage comes from activity system design, not individual excellence. Southwest Airlines doesn't have better planes or pilots than United. They have a better activity system, point-to-point routing, single aircraft type, no frills service. Each activity reinforces others, creating a system competitors can't partially copy. It's like how TikTok's algorithm isn't just one feature, but an interconnected system where each element strengthens others. You can't just copy the short videos, you need the entire activity ecosystem. This is why best practices often fail when transplanted. You're copying activities without the system. When you understand this, you stop looking for silver bullets and start designing activity systems. Your personal success isn't about being best at one thing. It's about creating synergistic activity combinations that amplify each other. ABC reveals that most strategic decisions are actually activity decisions in disguise. Outsourcing is just transferring activities to someone who can perform them cheaper. Vertical integration is bringing activities in-house for control or cost. Digital transformation is automating or eliminating activities. Subscription models change the activity pattern from discrete transactions to continuous relationships. Every business model innovation is really activity pattern innovation. When Netflix shifted from DVDs to streaming, they didn't change what they provided, entertainment. but completely restructured their activity system. Understanding this lets you see through corporate jargon to actual strategic moves. When a company says synergies, they mean eliminating duplicate activities. When they say pivot, they mean restructuring their activity system. When they say disruption, they mean eliminating traditional activities entirely. The ultimate ABC wisdom is that value creation and value capture are separate activity systems, and mastering both makes you unstoppable. Creating value involves activities that benefit customers, product development, quality improvement, and service delivery. Capturing value involves activities that benefit you, pricing optimization, cost reduction, and competitive positioning. Most people focus on one or the other. Engineers create value but don't capture it. MBAs capture value but don't create it. A BC masters understand both systems and optimize accordingly. This is why some artists are broke despite creating massive value, focused on creation activities, while others are rich despite creating minimal value, focused on capture activities. Your career strategy should consciously balance both activity systems. Create enough value to be indispensable, but capture enough value to be wealthy. That's the real lesson ABC teaches. It's not about counting costs. It's about understanding how value flows through activity systems and positioning yourself to benefit from that flow. Conclusion: your ABC journey starts now. We've just downloaded an entire new operating system into your brain, and if you're feeling like Neo after learning Kung Fu in the Matrix, that's exactly the right energy. You now understand something that 99% of business professionals don't truly grasp: that every business is just a collection of activities, and whoever manages those activities best wins. You know why some products that seem profitable are actually bleeding money, why some customers you think are valuable are actually costing you, and why traditional costing is like navigating with a compass when everyone else has GPS. This isn't just academic knowledge. It's a superpower for understanding how business really works versus how it appears to work. You're literally never going to see a business the same way again, and that perspective shift is worth more than any technical skill. Here's your homework that'll actually make you money. First, pick one process in your life and build an ABC model for it this week. Maybe it's your job search process, your content creation workflow, or even your dating life. Track the activities, identify the drivers, calculate the rates, and find the inefficiencies. Second, find a small business owner, restaurant, gym, retail store, and offer to do a basic ABC analysis for $500 or for free if you can use it as a portfolio piece. They'll be shocked by what you reveal, and you'll have real-world experience. Third, start reading earnings calls through an ABC lens. When companies discuss cost reduction or margin improvement, translate that into activity language. What activities are they eliminating? What drivers are they optimizing? This practice will prepare you for interviews where you'll blow minds by thinking deeper than surface-level financial metrics. The resources to continue your ABC journey are everywhere if you know where to look. Join the IMA as a student member for access to their ABC resources and CMA exam materials. Follow Robert Kaplan on LinkedIn. He invented ABC and still posts insights. Read Profit Beyond Measure by Johnson and Brums for advanced ABC applications. Watch YouTube videos of factory tours and identify activities and drivers as practice. Join Reddit's r/accounting and r/financial careers to see real-world ABC discussions. But most importantly, start applying ABC thinking to everything. When you see a business decision, ask, what activities does this affect? When you evaluate opportunities, consider the activity requirements. When you make personal choices, think about activity trade-offs. This mental model will compound throughout your career. You're leaving this session with more than just knowledge. You're leaving with a new lens for viewing business, career, and life decisions. Every successful entrepreneur unconsciously uses ABC thinking. You now do it consciously. Every profitable company has mastered their activity economics. You now understand how. Every career advantage comes from seeing what others miss. You now see the activity patterns underlying everything. Whether you become a CFO implementing ABC across global operations, an entrepreneur building the next unicorn through activity innovation, or a consultant charging Fortune 500's millions for ABC transformations, this foundation will serve you. The accounting you learn today isn't about debits and credits. It's about understanding the hidden architecture of business success. Your ABC journey doesn't end here. It begins. You've got the tools, frameworks, and mindset. Now go forth and optimize the hell out of every activity system you encounter. Let's get this bread, and by bread I mean both the knowledge you've gained and the inevitable financial success that comes from truly understanding how business works at the activity level. The math is finally mathing, the costs are finally costing. Class dismissed, but your real education in activity-based thinking has just begun.